Hello and welcome back everyone, we Weeb Online, and today I'm gonna continue the story What If Fem Orochimaru Was Obsessed with Naruto, Part 5. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now wasting no more time, let's begin.
Jiraiya asked his traveling partner, "So, are you glad to be back?" As they walked slowly, he did not get a response in words, just a raised eyebrow. "Are you still mad that I borrowed, pilfered, stolen, or broken into? You borrowed some money. Come on, kid, it was our last few days of freedom before we went back, and I needed to clear my head. Plus, you can't deny that we've had a lot of fun these past 3 years." Naruto wouldn't say otherwise. There was one hard time that neither of them would ever forget. But Jiraiya had shown Naruto a lot of the continent and been a great sensei on top of that. In reality, Naruto wasn't mad, but while Jiraiya had fun last night, Naruto wanted to play one more joke on him before he went back home. You're right on both counts. That's 30%. Excuse me?" Jiraiya asked in disbelief. "That's the interest on your loan, godfather. It's 30%, and it adds up every day." Jiraiya mocked outrage and yelled, "You're a shark. You know it. You ungrateful brat." Naruto just told him to go away. "Okay, I guess we can think of it as a gift. After all, I stole that money from you, so that works out." The Toad Sage's face showed that he couldn't believe what he was hearing. He was the one who stole money, not the other way around. He just had to laugh. "Kid, I wish we could do this for another year. Yes, it was nice to be free, but I've missed home," Naruto said with a smile. Jiraiya smiled when she heard that, and Naruto saw it. "Hey, old pervert, what are you smiling about? Way to ruin the mood, you thoughtless brat. Also, don't call me an old pervert," Jiraiya said as he put a headlock on Naruto. "Who took you on countless adventures? Who helped you grow from an elf into a respectable-sized young man? Who got you laid twice? Me, the envy of men and the desire of women, Jiraiya the Toad." Naruto stopped Jiraiya's speech when he "What are you doing? You spoiled brat. Put me down." "Hold on, perv," Jiraiya asked. "Wait for what?" The answer came when a big ball of water fell on his head and then dropped. Jiraiya coughed, and when Naruto saw the legendary Sannin, he laughed out loud. "I thought toads could swim and live in water. You look like a drowned rat, Titebeo. Go to hell, you little brat. Same goes for you. Stop bragging all the time, or I'll tell Tsunade Obachan that you have weird dreams about her. Like I'd be embarrassed about a sex dream. You're not good at blackmail." "Oh, if only they were sex dreams. No, I had to hear your weird poetry." "Oh, Tsunade." As the toad thinks the well is the ocean, Naruto had to stop and dodge Jiraiya's attack. "Don't go there. 1/3 and a half. You're a swindler." "That's fine, I'll be a thief who only gets 35%. What happened to the fact that it was a gift? And you stole my money. You didn't know that when you took it, and why should you be able to steal what I stole so skillfully? I think 35% is fair. We're related, so that must mean something, you heartless jerk." "That's okay, 40%. "What?" Naruto had kept a calm face, but when Jiraiya said that, he broke down again. As the two of them walked up to the main entrance, Jiraiya was sad. Izumo and Kotsu took care of them and were happy to see the two of them again. "Okay, kid, I know you have a lot you want to do, so let's talk to Tsunade." Naruto reached for Jiraiya and said, "Okay, I'll get us there quickly." The Toad Sage smacked the hand of his godson away. No, Naruto said with a smile. "Hell no, never again. No matter what," Jiraiya said with a stern and unbending face. "It's not that bad, you're making too much of it." Jiraiya said, "I don't care," and then she went away in a cloud of leaves. Naruto rolled his eyes and did what Jiraiya told him to do, which was to disappear in a blur. 3 of the most powerful women in Konoha were sitting in an office. Even though there was some talk about official duties, this meeting was mostly about how to run Orochimaru. Koharu and Tsunade both knew that. Besides what happened with Hiruzen, the snake Sannin got into the most trouble when she was bored. She had been showing signs of it for a while, but neither Tsunade nor Koharu knew what made it start all of a sudden. The first sign was that she became more interested in experimenting on prisoners just to see what would happen than in doing good scientific testing. Second, her training was becoming more dangerous. And lastly, and so bored. There must be a country that needs toppling, so I'll go kill the Raikage right now. "Orochi, you can't kill the Raikage. We want to avoid war, not make sure it happens," Koharu told him, as if he were a child who wanted dessert first. Tsunade asked, "Why don't you go on a mission? None of them are hard enough. There must be some prisoners to torture." "Ibiki is always complaining that he has too much to do," said Koharu. "As soon as I show up, they tell me their whole life story. One of them gave himself a heart attack. It's not much fun if they don't even try to hold back." Tsunade urged, "Spend time with Manda. Right now, he's being a pain." Oh, said the goddamn. Few people knew how Manda and Orochi really got along, but he loved his summoner. It took hours for Katsuyu to stop the giant snake from trying to kill Hiruzen. When she saw that Orochi wasn't going to say anything else, she gave up. As Tsunade tries to think of another example, three things distract her. First, she hears Shizune squeal from outside her office. Second, a sudden gust of wind blows through the office. And third, a deep, male voice. It looks like the kid beat me to it. Each of the women looked at the last Sannin through the window as he sat there. Jiraiya was welcomed by Koharu and Tsunade, but Orochimaru did nothing but stare at the door. What, Orochi-chan? Did you not notice that I came back? You still look like a fool, he said. There, I said it. That's so mean. At least you're glad to see me again, right? Tsunade just gave him the so-so sign, which made the Toad Sage laughably lose his air. As soon as Naruto walked in, Jiraiya couldn't do his full routine. Tsunade was surprised as she looked at her surrogate nephew. She thought he would change since it was a whole different thing. He no longer had the baby fat on his cheeks, but his face was still soft. His hair had grown a lot longer and looked more like a red lion's mane with spikes that reached his shoulders. His height stood out the most, since he was clearly taller than everyone in the office except Jiraiya. Naruto smiles at everyone and gives Tsunade a mock bow as he says, Uzumaki Naruto. Hokage-sama, I'd like to return to active duty. Naruto-kun, it's good to see you again. How was your training trip? Mostly fruitful, Jiraiya said, puffing up his chest. For a seedy-ass pervert, Jiraiya knows a little bit about training a ninja. After his Gotson's words made him feel down, Jiraiya said, you're an ass. Okay, that's enough, you too, Tsunade said, but she didn't say it with much anger. I'm glad to see you again, but we need to schedule a test of your skills to make sure you didn't waste 3 years on a walkabout. Oh, that's already taken care of. Unless she's changed her mind. Titebeo, Naruto said, smiling the whole time. Hyukuku, I wouldn't dream of it, Naruto-kun. We just need to pick a time and place, Orochimaru said as he moved and stopped right in front of Naruto, staring intently into the Uzumaki's eyes. It seems like a good time for a full moon tonight. Oh, a late night date on your first day back. That's brave, Orochimaru purred, surprised that Naruto didn't look away or blush. But she never got to hear his answer because he had to cough. Tsunade asked, looking very pleased with herself, sorry, are we bothering you too? Orochimaru said, yes, without any shame. Damn, that's too bad. Get out of here, kid, the adults need to talk. He told Tsunade, fine, fine, then turned to Orochimaru and said, training ground 43, midnight. She nodded, and he left the office. You don't look so bored now, Koharu said to Naruto after he had left, looking quite pleased with herself. I thought we had things to talk about, Orochimaru said, but he didn't bother to answer Koharu's point. Now, the casual atmosphere was over, and Jiraiya went into the office in a serious way, because they were about to get down to business. Jiraiya asked, so, how are things? Tense. There have been some skirmishes between Kumos and RANBU, but nothing that has spread to our regular forces. Onoki is still waiting and seeing, Tsunade was saying before she was cut off. Jiraiya said, you should hear from him soon. Naruto and I met both Han and Roshi on our travels, and I don't think it was a coincidence. I think Onoki wanted a quick threat assessment. And, since I assume you didn't fight either of them, what's the point? I don't have much to say. The kid got along with both of them well enough, more with Roshi than with Han, but there was no fighting. They talked about being a container, but that was all I saw. The Goddam said, okay, that's not much to go on, but it'll have to do. For now, Kiri is sticking to their isolationism. But that could change with the upcoming Chunin exams. I have put my Oto Nin on high alert. It's possible that I will try to start a proxy war first in order to get Konoha to join, Orochimaru said. Good. We don't have much more to do besides stay sharp and don't let ourselves be tricked into making stupid mistakes. It's easy to say but hard to do, Haim. Shikamaru complained to his friend, he's getting worse, what a pain, which made his friend laugh. The two ninja were strolling through the village. Temari asked, how could you know him if you haven't even seen him yet? The Nara grumbled, I always just know. Even though he was glad to see his friend again and eager to catch up, Shikamaru was as smart as he was smart. Naruto plus 3 years of hard training plus puberty equals trouble too. There was nothing else to do. Temari said with a smirk, I guess so. You've been getting a little lazy lately, so it should be fine. Helping with the Chunin exams is the most boring thing I've ever done. I'm not meant to be a leader. Why do it then? Shikamaru gave Temari a look, and her knowing smile didn't make him happy. She just couldn't keep quiet about what she didn't say, could she? Woman who makes trouble. It's the best way to spend time with you, as you know, Shikamaru said with a slouch. Awa, Shika is so cute when he says he likes Temari-chan. he said, "Kami, kill me now," which made Temari laugh. Shikamaru couldn't stop himself from smiling because the sound was so pleasant. "So, now that he's back, what's the plan? I don't think I'll be moved from Ino and Choji for a while yet." The events that led to the next Ino Shikacho were not ideal, but they were necessary. Choji and Ino were in trouble, and Shikamaru couldn't just leave them. If there was war, every clan heir would have to be at their best. Shikamaru grew because he couldn't depend on Kurenai cunning, Sensei Shino's cold efficiency, or Naruto's strength. His planning got faster, more involved, and oddly enough, less rigid. He no longer warmed up before battle and was always ready to fight. He only wanted, "Hey, don't be sad," Temari told him, breaking into his thoughts. Sorry. Anyway, I don't know what Shino will do. I guess we'll figure it out when we meet at Kurenai House." "Senseis," Temari asked, "when do you need to be there?" "In a little while, but I still have some time." Temari grabbed Shikamaru by the wrist and dragged him along, saying, "Good, because you're buying me lunch, Shadow Boy." "True. If you don't finish that, I won't see you for a month," Temari said. Shikamaru wisely shut up, because he was both smart and good at what he did. The pink-haired Uzumaki told Shino to go back to bed while she was wrapped in her dark blue bedsheet. The Abure mare had a small smile on his face. Some people might think Teuya and he were a bad match, but that was just on the surface. Even though she was emotional and he was quiet, she was neither crazy nor illogical. Her hard life had made her harsh, but Shino liked that she was honest and straight to the point. It was new, and the fact that she moved around more than any other girl he knew just added to her appeal. Shino woke up from his daydream because he knew she was waiting for an answer. Shino would love to go back, but he can't, at least not right now. "I'm sorry, Teuya, but I can't. You know that Naruto is coming back today, and that we're supposed to meet at Kurenai Sensei's. You probably have time, and Stump can wait. Teuya, friends shouldn't keep each other waiting. And boyfriends shouldn't cheat on their girlfriends, Shino. It's been a month, and it was 2 months before that," she said, and Shino could hear the edge in her voice. She was almost at the end of her patience, which wasn't very much to start with. He wouldn't say anything though, because he knew that was how she was. She was angry and full of life, but also accepting of him and what he does and chooses. Shino joined the Hunter Ninja Corps not long after the new Ino Shikacho was made. The training was hard, but the tasks were even harder. He had gotten much better at tracking, fighting, and killing because of it. Shino knew, like Shikamaru, that he had become too dependent on his team and sensei. They were a well-balanced team, as well-balanced as any genin team with Naruto would be, but that balance had its own problems. His new job changed that, since hunter ninjas usually work alone unless the threat is too big. Shino didn't mind being alone or having a hard schedule, but he missed his team and Teuya. She was right, he could be gone for a day or for a few months, and it was hard to tell. He took a look at the clock on the dresser. He had more time, and he knew that if he was a little late, his team would understand. Friends don't hold grudges. Shino went back to bed and was kissed when he did. It showed that he had made the right decision. Teuya said, "Next time, just get back in the fucking bed, you asshole," but she wasn't angry. Shino said, hi, smiling to himself the whole time. The young Sarutobi yelled, "Boss," and ran as fast as he could toward the person he was calling. The sea of people broke up, making it easy for Konohamaru, Mogi, and Udon to get to their older brother figure quickly. Naruto turned when he heard the shout and smiled at the three people coming toward him with their headbands held high. Naruto didn't care, but a lot of people smiled as they watched the honorable grandson make his way to the once outcast village. "Boss, you're back," Konohamaru said, not the least bit less excited than before. "Hey, you've grown up," Naruto said with a smile. "Us, boss, you're so tall now," said Udon, and the two other genin nodded their heads in agreement. "Yeah, you've finally grown a bit. How's ninja life treating you?" "Boss, you should have told us about D ranks," Konohamaru said with a pout. "But what's the fun in that? If you do them well, you don't have to do them for long, and I'm sure Abisu-san is teaching you well, right?" Mogi replied, "Hi, thanks to you, we don't have to do as many basic things as other teams do." "Yes, and now that you're back, we can get some kick-ass ninjutsu," said Konohamaru, pumping his fist in the air. Naruto was happy. "We'll see. I'll have to talk to Abisu-san to make sure I'm not messing up his training schedule." "So, boss?" Konohamaru asked, his excitement waning enough for him to realize Naruto had been holding flowers the whole time they were talking. "Who are the flowers for? Your girlfriend?" All three genin were sad to see Naruto's sad smile. "No, Konohamaru, this is for an old friend I haven't seen in a while. I was just on my way there, so let's meet up later, okay?" Udon said, "Okay, boss," and then he watched as Naruto disappeared in a cloud of leaves. "Kono, you idiot," Mogi stated. "I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention." Do you think he's crazy? Udon said it straight out, I doubt it. Naruto, I knows you're kind of stupid. This gave Konohamaru a tick mark on his forehead. What's the point of that? Mogi agreed with Udon, saying that you can be stupid, monkey boy. I don't get any respect. I tell you, Konohamaru said under a cloud of sadness. As Konohamaru cried, Naruto got to where he was going. He hadn't been here in years, but nothing had changed. Strangely quiet, and the smells of different flowers are competing. The air felt heavy, as if all the grief that people had felt over the years had joined together and surrounded everything, never leaving. He kept a steady pace as he went to where he wanted to go. Not much time had passed. Even though the gravestone wasn't fancy, it was decorated with flowers and small items. Naruto added his own bouquet, which had white lilies, pink carnations, and blue hydrangea. Naruto said out loud, Hinata Hyuga, sister, daughter, ninja. This is what the gravestone says. Even though we hadn't known each other for long, I still thought of you as a true friend. I wish I could have told you that it didn't matter, that I didn't hold your watching me against you. You hadn't hurt anyone, and maybe the days you silently supported me when I wanted to give up and gave me the strength to keep going. There are so many things I want to tell you, but it seems empty now. I hope you're getting the freedom you wanted and are at peace. I don't know what I can do, but I'll try to look out for Hanabi, though with you as a role model I doubt she'll need it. Shikamaru is taking care of your team, but I'll make sure he doesn't get lazy, the jerk. And I won't even punch your dad out, He bowed to the man, who was his main tormentor and whom he was quickly coming to dislike just as much as Danzo and Sasori. Kabuto wondered if one of the reasons the Sandaime gave Danzo so much freedom was because they were more alike than they wanted to admit. He thought that Danzo was the Sandaime's ID, enjoying the darkness that the fire shadow couldn't be linked to but could be immersed in if he weren't the Sandaime. Kabuto didn't like this study because all of the furniture, shelves, and moldings were made from trees that Hashirama-sama had grown. There was a smell of pipe smoke, paper, and ink in the room. Even though he was no longer in charge, the man sat at his desk as if he were still the god of shinobi. It hurt Kabuto that people were making fun of him, that he had to betray his mistress, even though all he wanted to do was protect her from the Uzumaki's influence so they could get back to work. Instead, he had to kneel before this old rock, breathe in its smoke, and do what it said. Kabuto, it's been 3 years. In that time, you haven't told me anything useful about Orochimaru's plans. Do you think my patience is endless, Kabuto-kun? No, Sandaime-sama. I've tried, but Orochimaru-sama is naturally suspicious. If I push too hard, she'd become suspicious, and then I wouldn't be able to help you. What do you have to offer me now? I told you about her hiding place, that you can't get to and have no way of getting into, Hiruzen said, blowing smoke from his pipe. Kabuto defended himself by saying, I'm working on it. Ah, young Karin-chan. Had Orochimaru not taught you how to seduce? It shouldn't have taken this long to win her over or fool her outright, if he had. Karin has a great sense of smell and can tell when someone is lying, so I have to be careful what I say. The time for being careful is over. I wanted Orochimaru to be taken care of before Naruto-kun came back. He did that, and I'm sure she won't waste any time catching him. When the Sandaime talked about his mistress, Kabuto got angry because he didn't like how she was being described. This dissatisfaction is what made him start to talk. If you care so much about Naruto's character, maybe Hokage-sama should have paid more attention to his upbringing instead of just leaving him to his own devices. Instead of being a Kawa, he didn't get to finish his sentence because a strong hand was now on his throat and Kabuto was lifted off the ground. Boy, do you forget who I am? I have sent more people to the Pure Land than you have met. You think your mistress is powerful. Who do you think made her that way? Don't talk about things you don't know in my presence, the Sandaime told the boy before letting him go. Kabuto left, rubbing his sore neck because he didn't want to risk what would happen if he stared at the old man. When he was alone, Hiruzen slouched and sighed. He didn't like how he was dealing with the young medic. He didn't like to use people as pawns, whether they were going to die or not. He thought that this was for Naruto-kun, though. He had to put enough pressure on Kabuto for him to make a mistake and show his hand. Orochimaru would kill him out of rage, and he would finally have something against her since Kabuto was a good shinobi. Tsunade would not be able to ignore the violation, and he would do whatever he could to make sure she couldn't just forget about it. Orochimaru would lose her status and be sent to jail or sent away. Naruto-kun wouldn't leave if he was part of a clan and had ties to the current Hokage and his team. Hiruzen really thought that. Then, Hiruzen would be able to fix the badly broken bridge between him and his surrogate grandson. He just needed time. After the debriefing and strategy session, Koharu and Orochimaru left. Only Tsunade and Jiraiya were left. Jiraiya wasn't used to having those hazel eyes look at him with worry, and he wondered what his old teammate could be thinking. I've noticed that neither Naruto nor you told me much about the training trip. He didn't want to say too much in front of Orochi, and I honestly didn't think you'd believe me if I told you, was not the answer I was expecting. Why would I not trust you? Because I've seen him do things over and over again, and I still find it hard to believe it. Okay, I'll just have to watch him fight Orochi to see what she can get out of him. Other than his skills, are you two okay? Jiraiya said, we're fine, but he could see in Tsunade's eyes that she didn't believe him. We really are in a good place. And how did that happen? Jiraiya, if I beat you to within an inch of your life, Naruto had you at half an inch. Mount Mayaboku is beautiful, but it wasn't worth the trip to see you clinging to life. You never did tell me what happened. The difference between what I said and what I did caught up with me in the form of a mad Uzumaki. Do better, Jiraiya, said Tsunade, who had had enough of Jiraiya's indirectness. You know what happened in the Land of Iron. Mifune knew something was up, but he didn't know who led the coup. Naruto saw himself in the man, and they had grown close, so it wasn't easy for him to kill him, Jiraiya said. But he did, so why do you two have to beat the crap out of each other? The man's actions left something to be desired, but he wasn't always wrong. Naruto thought he might have protected an oppressive government in the hopes that we'd be able to work with them in the future. I could see why it would bother him, Jiraiya, but not enough for him to attack you. I told him about the prophecy, and then I thought he'd be the one to fulfill it. I shared a lot of my ideas with him, some of which he liked and some of which he didn't. But when he saw that I set him on the path to kill a man who just wanted to make things better, the hypocrisy of it all made him snap. He couldn't accept all my preaching about peace when I put Konoha's interests ahead of others. Why would you do that, Jiraiya? Why put that on him? She asked, more confused than anything else. For one, I thought it was true. For another, he needed direction. Naruto didn't need my help to get stronger. He would have done that whether I was there or not. But strength isn't everything. He was all science and no philosophy. He doesn't believe in the will of fire because of sensei. Someone had to take care of his morals, to give him something to think about other than jutsu and war. I was given the job of helping him become. Naruto is a good kid, Jiraiya. He was also an angry kid. Angry and resentful. He may not dwell on it, but it is never far from his mind how they, Jiraiya points out the window, treated him. I just wanted to give him something larger to shoot for, something more. Maybe it could have helped him come to terms with everything. But with the coup, it just looked like I didn't really believe what I was preaching. I was just like sensei, trying to manipulate him to my own ends. He snapped. So, what's different? While I was getting better, he spent time with the Panthers. I don't know what happened because he never told me, but when we got back together, he seemed so much better. We talked, really talked, for hours, and we kept talking for the next few days. Now, we're in a really good place. That will have to do as long as I don't have to worry about you two getting into a fight in the street. I don't think you should be worried, Haim. Naruto said, "Hi, sensei," as he stood in the doorway of Kurenai's small but comfortable home. The Genjutsu mistress gave her student a hug, and it was clear that she was in her 6th month of pregnancy. Naruto gently hugged her back, not wanting to harm the baby. Kurenai rolled her eyes, probably because she thought the boy was being too nice. Then he gave her a stuffed panther and a stuffed purple toad. I didn't know if it was too early for this, Titebeo, he said with a bit of shyness. Naruto really didn't know what to do because he had never been near a pregnant woman before. He was just glad she didn't look fat to him. He went with Kurenai to her living room, where he sat on the maroon couch with a little bit of a waddle. Naruto had changed so much that it was hard to believe. She had watched her other 2 students grow up, but seeing it all at once was a bit shocking. Kurenai sat down, tucked her feet under her, and rubbed her stomach without thinking. Her red eyes were fixed on her student. How was your trip, Naruto-kun? That was great, but I'm happy to be home. Oh, really? She asked in surprise, but she couldn't help but smile back at Naruto's warm smile. Yes, I missed you guys, Titebeo. There's also Teuya and Karin, Tsunade Obachan, and Shizune Nichan. Seems there's a name missing, Kurenai said knowingly. Naruto said, I'm sorry, sensei, but I don't understand what you mean. Okay, I won't push, but watch out, Kurenai told him. If you know anyone who is careful, it's me, sensei. Her answer was, Land of Vegetables. When she saw him cross his arms and huff, she laughed. That's rewriting history, Titebeo, said Kurenai. She kept laughing, but when she heard the door open, she stopped. Asuma told Kurenai, I'm back home, and I brought a few people with me. Soon, he came in with Shikamaru and Shino. They sat down in the empty chairs that matched theirs. Nara said, You look like you've become more troublesome. Naruto smiled and said, You look like you've become lazy again. I'm sure Magila-chan would love to help with that. Shikamaru simply grinned. Naruto, you are welcome back. Naruto said, Thanks, Shino. How have things been with you guys? Shino told him all about it, and Kurenai also told her what had been going on. Naruto, I haven't been asked to quit being a hunter nin, and it looks like Team Kurenai is on hold for now. What are you going to do? Oh, I've been asked to be an elite tutor. I used to think Abisu was just blowing smoke out of his language. Naruto-kun, Kurenai warned. Hype, but that seems to be a thing. I don't want it, though, because I'm not a house cat. You would complain about a good thing. You teach a little and then watch the clouds. Sounds like your life. That's what you say. If you both took the test, you could probably both be jounin. Shikamaru asked, why would I want that? This made Naruto and Kurenai sweat a drop. I'm happy with my current job, and a promotion wouldn't change much for me. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about something important, Naruto said. I claim to be the fun uncle, Shikamaru said, as if it were obvious, troublesome. You can't claim to be the fun uncle. Agreed. You being the fun one depends as much on Kurenai children senseis as it does on your own qualities. Plus, I'll be the favorite, so I'll be the fun uncle by default. What a load of crap. I'm done losing to you, Abiram. Why are you both acting like this is a two-man race? I'm just as likely to be the fun uncle as either of you, Shikamaru said, annoyed by their looks of disbelief. I'm fun. As a grump, you'd be the life of the party at a retirement community. He's right, Shika. You have that old man energy that doesn't play well with kids. I, on the other hand, am a walking library of cool ninjutsu. Every kid loves ninjutsu. Naruto, you can't teach my daughter ninjutsu early just to be her favorite, Kurenai said when he finally spoke up. I have things that aren't very good, sensei. Yes, I've seen the low-level stuff you gave Konohamaru and his friends. A 20-feet spiked wall is not D-rank ninjutsu, Naruto. But it was one of the first ones I made, and it's very simple and doesn't use much chakra. Shino said with pride, see, this is why I'll win. Naruto said with full confidence, oh, I have a trick up my sleeve, just wait. As the boys fought, Kurenai smiled. Her team and family were back together again. No one in the fight could tell how much their actions were alike. 1. The famous Snake Sannin was getting ready with great care. A black and red battle kimono that stopped just above her knees and fit snugly at her breasts. It covered her mesh armor. Her purple fingernail polish and obi, which was tied around her waist, went well together. Each side had a slit that showed the mesh coverings on her legs. She put on her shinobi sandals, which had a heel. Her hair was pulled back into a bun, which was held in place by two senbon. The most famous woman in the elemental nations looked herself over, smiled seductively, and was sure she would win by the end of the night. At the Uzumaki compound, the person in charge got ready. Both his pants and shirt were the same dark blue color and were lined with mesh. The sleeves of his shirt stopped just below the elbow, so his two tattoos could be seen. A red ANBU-style chest armor with a blue Uzumaki swirl was worn over his shirt. A red and black holster was strapped to his right leg, and he had a large pouch on his back. Just below his armor, he also had his katana tied to his back. As he left his room, he smiled because he knew his old teacher would be impressed. Both planned their arrival so well that they would be there at exactly midnight. The training ground was lit up by the moon, and the dark woods that surrounded it made for a great contrast. No one spoke as they looked at each other closely and got closer. Orochimaru went first and hit Naruto with a straight right when he was close enough. The Uzumaki moved out of the way of the blow and caught it with his outside hand. In response, he threw a back fist. When blue met yellow, there was a short pause. Then duo went into action in a big way. Orochimaru twisted Naruto's arm into an arm lock and broke Naruto's hold on her arm. When the Uzumaki saw this, they lowered themselves and flipped Orochimaru over their shoulders. Naruto put some space between himself and the enemy and got into his stance. When Orochimaru came back, he did a double roundhouse, but both kicks were blocked, which he was ready for. The first two kicks were fakes for a standing side kick that hit Orochimaru in the stomach. Naruto jumped up and down on his heels and then took his position. Orochimaru got her kimono out of the closet and did the same thing. After a short break, the two started moving again toward each other. After that, there was a fierce fight with fists and feet. Naruto's style, which includes multi-level kicks, feints, and powerful punches, goes up against Orochimaru's unreal flexibility and reaction time. Naruto had the distinct impression that his moves were being read almost perfectly. He wasn't getting punished for it, though, because he was faster, but it was very hard for him to land a clean blow. Even Orochimaru was having trouble with the Taijutsu exchange. Even though Naruto didn't use Jiraiya's style, it was clear that Jiraiya's former teammate taught Naruto how to beat physically weaker opponents and get his way. The fact that Naruto-kun was physically stronger than her gave her a small thrill, and made her want to beat him up even more. Orochimaru responds to Naruto's short uppercuts with a two-punch combo that lands cleanly on Naruto's stomach. She likes it when he groans in pain, Naruto's forearms take in her next middle kick, and the Uzumaki uses the force to move into a sway. Orochimaru knows what's going to happen and quickly switches places. The counter that Naruto let go of breaks the log that Orochimaru was standing on. Hyukuku, if I didn't know better, I'd think you were trying to hurt me. Naruto-kun, a voice that seems to be coming from everywhere says. I thought you were the strongest of the Sannin. If you want, Shishu, I can go half speed, Naruto joked before tilting his head to the side and just missing the Kusanaga's extended blade. Naruto spins around, draws his sword, and does a downward slash at the same time. This hits the legendary sword, which is held up by Orochimaru, who has one hand on the handle and the other on the tip of the blade. I am the strongest Sannin, but I am no longer your Shishu, the snake summoner said as she tipped her blade down, throwing Naruto off balance. Orochimaru smoothly changes to a reverse grip and tries to cut her former student while he is out of position, but he intercepts the blade with an upward slash, and then moves back. Orochimaru's arm feels wrong right away. When she looks at it, she sees that it is frozen solid. The ice breaks when her chakra flares up. By putting Hyoten chakra into your sword, you can freeze the air around me in an instant. No, I only flash froze the air around you because I didn't want you to lose an arm, he says with a wink. Impressed? He asks. Mildly, she says, and then she goes on the attack again. Like when they fight with Taijutsu, they can't seem to beat each other. Their fights look more like a dance than a fight. Naruto didn't understand what was going on. During the fights, he used a subtle genjutsu to make Orochimaru misjudge how far away he was, but she seemed to breeze right through it. She was a master with her sword. Only one other person was as good as she was, but he wasn't the least bit scared. He knew he could just use swift release to make his advantage bigger, but he chose this way because it was more fun. He swung his sword, which made the ground let out a pressure wave. He did his version of Asuma's Hine, which he called his songbird blades, by taking advantage of the distance. As he swung his sword several times, he heard a faint ringing sound as the supersonic blades cut through the air. He watched as Orochimaru danced around his attacks as if he had told her exactly where they were, the blades cutting through the trees behind her quickly. He knew there was something wrong. He felt like he had been in this fight before, but not with Orochimaru. She was good, without a doubt one of the best, but something didn't seem right. He didn't have any more time to think because Orochimaru was attacking again and needed his attention. Her heart rate was up, not because she worked hard, but because she was excited. She was so happy she could hardly hold it in. This is why she made herself wait and didn't take Naruto from right in front of Jiraiya. Things had been so boring, and even though it was nice to train Anko again, it wasn't the same. Her first student didn't push her as much as he did or give her any challenges. She could tell he was holding back even now, and she wasn't even mad. The point wasn't to win. A part of her worried that he wouldn't change enough to keep up with her growth, but that worry was for nothing. She wondered if he would be able to figure out why his genjutsu wasn't working and why she was able to predict his moves well enough to stop them. Her Sharingan, which was hidden by a special contact lens, was spinning wildly, as if to match how happy she was getting. She had to see more of him to make him work harder, to get every secret out from behind those happy-looking blue eyes. As her attacks got worse, Naruto had to go on the defensive, which was not at all his style. But it was necessary, since Orochimaru's slashes and stabs came from different directions and levels and didn't follow a set pattern. He was caught off guard when her long tongue wrapped around one of his wrists and pulled it away from his sword. Her giant forced the other wrist to let go of its sword. Snake Sannin was ready to make the most of her new chance now that she had been able to disarm him, but Naruto, who was still being held back by her tongue, disappeared right before her eyes. Kai, she thought right away as she did the dispel technique, and she dove right under the kick that was going for her temple. Then, when a second Naruto gave her an axe kick, she rolled away and gave a third Naruto a cartwheel kick. She stood up as the three Narutos surrounded her and asked, "Clones already, Naruto-kun?" One Naruto said, "I thought I'd spice things up a bit. Are you already bored?" "I'm hurt," joked Orochimaru. Then, she had to block a double front kick from one Naruto, and then use a quick stab to get rid of him. The others decided to attack together, with one doing a flying roundhouse and the other a leg sweep. By moving so that he was parallel to the ground, Orochimaru was able to avoid both attacks. With a circular slash of her sword, she got rid of the clones above and below her after she came out of her dodge. As soon as she hit the ground, she realized two things. First, that was way too easy. Second, she had no idea where the real Naruto was. The red-haired Uzumaki thought, Earth-style, Dragon's Maw, as he made an earthen dragon's mouth appear under Orochimaru, which surprised her. The mouth snapped really hard, but all anyone could hear was the sound of wood breaking. The snake Sannin kept looking around, and now she was hiding in the trees. She heard a threat coming and cut the single shuriken that was aimed at her back out of instinct alone. She just moved away from the next shot. So she thought, because the bladed stars did sink into the bark of the trees like she said they would, but they also kept up with her and got faster. Orochimaru dodged through the trees as more shuriken were added to the chase. She realized that this was a jitten trick that Toroi of Kumo used. As the famous woman made her way back to the clearing, she smiled. She thought it was time for her to show off, too. She put the Kusanagi away when she saw a rival and waited for the projectiles to catch up. Naruto was hiding behind a version of Tobirama Senju's Bringer of Darkness jutsu, and watching her without her knowing. He had a lot of pieces that didn't fit together well. His old teacher could break his eye genjutsu, but not the one he cast with his hands or the one that blocked all senses. He wasn't surprised that she could get out of his genjutsu. What did surprise him was how quickly she did one thing but not the other. When she came out of the trees and back into the open, he was even more confused. As he looked, his eyes got big with surprise and happiness. Even though his attack had failed, he didn't care because he was too cool to care. He let go of the genjutsu and showed up in the clearing. He yelled, "You did it." This made Orochimaru smile. Naruto was right, and the sub-elements could be used by people who didn't have the bloodlines. But being possible doesn't mean it's easy. Orochimaru had only been able to make one, jitten, and that was because wind and earth were the ones she knew the most about. Even her Sharingan wasn't much help because it saw the sub-elements as a code of chakra it couldn't read. But even with all those limits, she was happy with how proud she felt that she had impressed him. As the iron walls turned back into sand, she said, "The Sandame Kazekij's iron sand gathering assault." Creating her own magnetic field messed up Naruto's, and the iron walls she made just stopped the shuriken that kept moving because of inertia. "That's awesome, but, you're surrounded by metal," Naruto said as he quickly made a series of hand signs, lightning style, chained lightning jutsu. As the red lightning surged toward every piece of metal in its path, Naruto thought. He swayed back before he was fully aware of it, avoiding the uppercut from Orochimaru, who had been hiding underground. She keeps going anyway, and Naruto blocks her high kick with his arm. The smile was too sure of itself, which made him think he had missed something. The chakra flare and the sound of an upcoming blitz led him to think this was some kind of clone. The iron sand drizzle from Orochimaru hurtled toward Naruto, and the snake Sannin thought that Naruto wouldn't be able to avoid it in time. When the jutsu got to where Naruto was, her mud clone disappeared, but her iron sand pellets would ping and then fall. After the first wave, she stopped the jutsu because she could see that Naruto was now covered in a blackish metallic coat that went from his limbs to his center. "Steel release, impervious armor," Naruto said, then did another set of hand signs, paused for a split second, and did another set. Orochimaru was caught off guard because she had never heard of steel release before. Her ignorance cost her, as steel chains came out of the ground and tied her hands and feet together above her head. She was going to just break the structures, but when she felt a lot of her energy leaving her, she looked up and saw seals moving from the chain to her. She asked, "What are chakra suppression seals?" Naruto nodded and wiped the sweat off of his forehead. He said, "I can't make chains like my mom, so this was the best I could do." "Then you can use Sensei's combination technique." Naruto said, "I've been able to do that since I was 11 years old." Orochimaru said to the Uzumaki, "You've never shown a skill like this before." The Uzumaki shrugged. "I didn't want the old man to think I was trying to be him. Besides, I was already training a sub-element. I didn't need his stopgap technique," Naruto said after taking a deep breath. "But using it on an element I haven't mastered does make things harder." Naruto took a moment to look at the result of his jutsu. He had never really thought of himself as kink, but when he saw Orochimaru tied up and at his mercy, it was very attractive to him. Orochimaru smiled and asked, "See something you like?" as if he could read his mind. Naruto rubbed the back of his head out of habit, trying not to blush because he had been caught looking. Naruto tried to hide by saying, "You know, if you give up, I'll let you go." "Oh, please, Naruto-sama, free Orochi-chan. I'd be so grateful," the Sannin said in a sultry voice, wriggling slightly in the chains. "I have a cold show coming up soon," Naruto said, trying to avoid doing anything stupid. When Orochimaru said Naruto wouldn't show any reaction, she stopped the act but still smiled. "This time, it's your win," she said, and the chains left her right away. Her chakra flow also went back to normal. She fell a little, but Naruto's body caught her and held her up. When she looked up, he was looking down at her with a huge smile on his face. He said, "I won't let it get to my head." Orochimaru laughed and said, "Good, because if you hold back again, I won't be gentle with you. All you have to do is ask," Naruto said. "Naruto-kun, where's the fun in that?" she asked. he said. I wouldn't have to avoid that sharp sword of yours. But for me, that's part of the fun. And what do I like? Orochimaru made a joke about how it didn't matter at all because he was the strongest of the Sannin. Orochimaru could feel Naruto's laugh reverberate through his chest. But since you won, I think you should be able to choose your prize. Naruto said, so I am, with a sly look in his eyes. Well, I've thought about this for a long time. I hope you've thought about your choices carefully, Orochimaru said. Oh, I've asked wise men for advice and everything. And I've decided that I want ice cream. Orochimaru was confused and asked, I'm sorry, what? Because he couldn't have said, ice cream. There's a place in the village where I like to get ice cream. And I want you to come with me. What's that? Yep, they have Rocky Road, which I think you'll like. See you tomorrow, Naruto said before he disappeared from sight. Did he say ice cream? What? Orochimaru asked in disbelief. Just then, the images recorded by her Sharingan caught up with her, which surprised her a little. Naruto walked into his room and started to take off his clothes. He was happy that the first part of his plan worked. He won the bet, and unlike before, he didn't do anything stupid or blush. He'd have to thank Jiraiya for helping him with that, but the man wouldn't like how he's using what he's learned. The lights turned on when the Uzumaki walked into the attached bathroom. He took a shower to relax and then put on some plain black boxers. He was ready to call it a night because all of the reunions and fights had worn him out. As soon as Naruto's head hit the pillow, he fell asleep. He had a small smile on his lips. Naruto's senses woke him up right away, but neither his body language nor the way he breathed changed. There was someone in his room. Someone had broken through the seals on his room and was in there. Naruto had to agree that it was impressive. Naruto hoped that whoever did it would be able to take their bragging rights with them to the other side. Even though it was hard, he didn't give up. The person was doing a good job of hiding, and Naruto wanted to know what they were up to. He heard what sounded like footsteps and the rustling of clothes as if they were being removed. By the time he felt the weight on his bed, he still hadn't moved, but it was shock that gripped him. A familiar scent of wild flowers and a hint of antiseptic. He couldn't put together why Orochimaru was in his bedroom. When the Sannin slid into his bed, under the covers he almost shut down. Be cool, Naruto the Uzumaki told himself. She's probably just here to mess o. He thought internally when she finally reached him, the sensations on his back revealing something. Okay, so she's topless, he thought as he felt her bare breasts, while her arms snaked around his front, Orochimaru gently making circles on his abs with her fingertips. Kyukuku, I know you're awake, Naruto-kun. Oh hey, he responded weakly. So much for not doing anything lame. He lamented. I had some time to think about your request. It confused me initially. How so? Naruto asked. It was timid and you are not known for timidity, Orochimaru said, continuing her ministrations. So, why ask for something I would have agreed to anyway? Seems like a waste. Unless, she paused. Unless, Naruto repeated. It was part of a larger plan and you were conspiring for some end I didn't know about. Me? You? Conspire against you? That's what I'm thinking. Why, I would ye. Naruto's reply was cut off as he felt a pleasing cool hand slide into his boxers. Naruto-kun, you can admit it now and have an incredibly satisfying night, or deny it and have an incredibly frustrating one. Choose wisely, she whispered into his ear. The choice was obvious. Let's say I did have a plan. To seduce me? Orochimaru asked in amusement. More woo than seduction, Naruto responded. Woo? She asked, and Naruto could hear the humor in her voice, but he was paying greater attention to what her hands were doing. One in particular. I regretted it the moment I said it, Titebeo. Don't, Kyukuku, it's sweet. I've done something similar. The hardest part, she paused when Naruto let out a groan, was the waiting. I hate waiting. I've only ever been as patient as I absolutely needed to be, and for this, I had to wait years. Orochimaru removed her hand from Naruto's boxers, the Uzumaki promptly missing the contact. He turned toward her, and as soon as he was facing her he found himself pulled into a kiss. All thought left as his body responded on instinct. One arm around her waist pulled her closer while his other hand cupped her cheek, stroking it gently. In his haze, he didn't remember when it happened, but soon their tongues were meeting, gentle flicks giving way to something deeper. Naruto felt her hands running through his hair, adding to the series of pleasing sensations he was already experiencing. At some point they broke the kiss, panting slightly, her warm breath tickling his ear. He'd returned to his senses long enough to hear her declaration, whispered but containing more steel than any shouted words ever have. "I'm done waiting," was all she said before she claimed his lips again. But as the lovers explored each other's bodies, the mutual pleasuring containing a multitude of unspoken promises, the world continued to spin. Enemies from within and without planned and plotted for their mutual and individual downfalls. Storm clouds gathered, portending of an easterly wind, embers still sparked in the shadows, and a divine will continue to exert its influence. But for all those that scheme against them, are any prepared for the consequence of trying to separate a snake from her obsession? Ah, Naruto shouted, reaching another peak. He couldn't say what number it was because he'd stopped counting. Naruto kissed his lover deeply as he slowly moved away from her. It took him a lot of effort to roll off her. A light sheen covered both bodies. He was too tired to do anything. He was tireder than he had ever been. If not more, they are at least different. He was exhausted and drained, but he was also completely happy. He knew he was smiling like an idiot. If there was a way for him to stop, he would have. Hyukuku, he heard as he felt Orochi pull closer to him and wrap her arms around him, and he did the same. He struggled to open his eyes. At the time, he could have sworn he'd pulled up trees with more ease, but he did manage to do so, partially. The Uzumaki met the Sanin's half-lidded gaze. He took a quick look over her shoulder at the alarm clock, which proudly showed that it was 5:15. He really needed to get some sleep before going to work. Naruto-kun, HM. He hummed sleepily. When you said you hadn't mastered cotton, what did you mean? Naruto tried not to yawn before answering. It's like with the basic elements. You learn how to shape your chakra to perform it, and for a while, you always have to consciously shape your chakra in that way. It's like there's a disconnect, and you're making your chakra produce fire, wind, or whatever. After you gain enough experience with the release, that transition seems to disappear, and you don't feel like you're transforming your chakra, So with my jitten, I just need more practice and it'll start to feel natural. Yes, Orochimaru said, smiling, because that was a problem she still needed to solve. She can control the iron sand, but it takes a lot of work. It hasn't felt natural yet, and she doesn't know if it ever will. It seemed like all she needed to do was train it more and train her body's yin and yang to accept the change so she could get better at what she could do. It makes sense that he only had one lava and ice jutsu when she taught him. Making more jutsus before he had mastered the release would have been like building on a bad foundation. How many sub-elements have you mastered to your standards? It depends who's asking, my rival or my girlfriend. She asked flirtatiously, girlfriend. I'm too tired to be embarrassed, Naruto said, making the Sannin laugh. How do I know when I'm one, the other, or both? She asked, pulling herself even closer into their embrace. When we're naked, let's not be rivals, Naruto suggested. Orochimaru laughed until he hurt. I'll think about it. Now, if you could answer my original question. Naruto leaned down and whispered in her ear. At first he looked surprised, but then he gave her a sultry smile. Suddenly, Naruto was on his back. Hyukuku, it looks like you won't be sleeping yet, Naruto-kun, she said as Naruto felt her slide down his body. He really hoped she wasn't suggesting another fight, because there was no way that was going to happen. Naruto's worries went away when he felt an intense and welcome feeling. He shakily sucked in a breath of air while holding on to his red sheets. He looked at the end of the bed and saw that his girlfriend's head was bobbing. He didn't think he'd be sleeping soon, but he wouldn't complain. Naruto had another look down. No, I have absolutely no complaints. Shino thought he was invincible. It was a combination of his personality and his discipline. But he could stay calm in almost any situation. But it's understandable that he had trouble with the strangeness of his breakfast. In the Uzumaki Manor, there were two main places to eat. The first was a large, ornate dining hall, a big room with a table for 15 people, a crystal chandelier, and walls covered with red Uzumaki spirals. Since none of the three current Uzumaki liked being formal, the room was rarely used. Naruto said it was more of a promise to the future. One day, maybe a generation or two from now, that table will be full. The second place was the kitchen, which was a large room by itself. There are two ovens on the wall, a side-by-side refrigerator with blackboard paint, and an induction range. In the middle was an island with more kitchen tools, including a grill and an industrial hood on top. Likewise, seals. How many seals? It was weird. In the kitchen, there were two places to eat, on bar stools at the end of the island or at the circular dining table with wood bay windows that could seat 6 people. Seals on the windows made them darker if the sun got too bright. Shino was sitting on the island and eating oatmeal with blueberries. Teuya was doing the same thing. Karin was eating steamed cod, rice, and miso soup. That was pretty normal, since the three of them had eaten breakfast together many times before. And Karin never made a big deal out of Shino being there while still making him feel welcome. No, the weirdness was limited to the table, where two of the three Sannin were sitting opposite each other. Orochimaru was eating a salad with arugula, walnuts, and pears while humming to himself. He had just showered and was wearing a pale purple kimono. Jiraiya, who was eating a steak with rice and miso soup, was scowling at the woman as he cut into his steak. Shino knew that Orochimaru had spent the night here and slept with his teammate. Jiraiya must have known that too, because it made him very unhappy. Really, Jiraiya, what have I done to deserve such a hard look? You didn't even have the patience to wait a day. Orochimaru asked, what would it have mattered? Before breaking into a wide grin. Besides, he didn't say anything. Yes, Orochimaru-sama, Naruto-kun might need a chemical pick-me-up. Okay, I'll make something right away, Karin said, walking to the cabinet to get a mortar and pestle. She grabbed a few ingredients, but Shino's attention went back to the Sannin. Jiraiya asked, would you have stopped if he had? Orochimaru shrugged. It doesn't matter, we both got what we wanted, so I wouldn't think about changing that if I were you. If I stay out of this, it's not because I'm afraid of you. And stop telling people you're the strongest of the Sannin. I'm a sage, I'm stronger than you and Tsunade both. And before you say anything funny, I've fought the kid head on. And if your little show last night was anywhere near your best, you're a far second. Don't guess, Jiraiya, we can test your theory whenever you want, said Orochimaru. I think Obachan would have a temper tantrum for the ages if you two messed up her training grounds. Titebeo, Naruto said in a lazy but funny way. As he shuffled into the kitchen, his eyes were closed and he had a soft smile on his face. His black t-shirt was still clinging to his hastily dried body. Naruto, Karin greeted. They hadn't seen each other since yesterday, but the nurse was glad to see her cousin again. Here, take these with water and a little food, Karin said, placing the pills she had just finished making in his hand. He gave her a one-armed hug while thanking her. He kept walking, getting a glass and filling it with water. Yuya-chan, you look so bright this morning. I hope you're taking good care of Shino. Fuck you, Stump, Tayuya said in response, getting a laugh. Good morning, Shino. The Abure Mare answered, same to you, Naruto. Naruto finally made it to the table and sat by Orochimaru. Morning, Orochi-chan. Good morning, you. I figured you were still sleeping. I wish, but I have to go see Tsunade Obachan in an hour to start working as an elite tutor, Naruto said with no enthusiasm. Even though he was good at teaching, he had no interest in teaching people who probably wouldn't like him. Poor thing, Orochimaru said, jokingly showing sympathy. Yes, I'm a pitiful figure, cursed by the gods themselves, Naruto answered with great effort. He swallowed the pills and drank the water. Well, maybe the day won't be so bad. It can't be, I have a hot date tonight, Naruto exclaimed. Oh, really? Should I be envious? I wouldn't blame you, she's pretty amazing. Please get a room, Jiraiya interrupted. He knew he had to accept this horrible relationship, but he didn't feel like he needed to watch it. His godson rolled his eyes, probably thinking about all the times Jiraiya got dirty with a woman while Naruto had to go do something else. The godson then put his right hand on the table and channeled some energy. Most of the people watching were amazed when a small tree grew out of the table and produced fruit. Naruto took the gala apple from a tiny branch and bit into it while winking at Orochimaru. What the actual fuck was that? Tayuya asked or shouted, summing up what most of the other people there were thinking. Naruto said, I was told to eat, I wanted an apple, so I got an apple. He didn't care at all that everyone else was shocked. In reality, he knew he was bragging, but if telling Orochimaru what he could do was enough to get that reaction, he was curious what a casual display of power and skill might get. When he looked into her eyes, he decided it would be mind-blowingly cool. All he saw before he was pulled into a kiss was Orochimaru leaning forward and gently touching his whiskered cheek. Jiraiya is shocked that a simple kiss turned into more than that. I guess I should go, Orochimaru whispered as he got up from the table. Karin-chan, Tayuya-chan, let's see what kind of trouble we can get into today. The two Uzumaki girls nodded and followed their mistress out of the kitchen. Naruto turned back around and saw Jiraiya frowning at him. What happened? How long have you been able to do that apple tree trick? Long enough, why? Naruto asked with genuine confusion. Because all those times I was drunk and you made me go get food. You could have just given me an apple, you spoiled brat. Jiraiya exclaimed before laughing. You seem to be pretty okay with this, Naruto said. You're going to do what you want to do. Do I have concerns? Yes, I won't lie to you about that, but I'm going to trust you and hope for the best. But know that if this is all a plan and you get hurt, I'll kill her, even if I have to die to do it. Naruto nodded. Jiraiya didn't make threats very often, but when he did, Naruto saw him follow through. Jiraiya easily dodged the red spike of death that shot toward him, and Naruto's hair went back to normal in an instant. Shino did a facepalm when he heard that. Jiraiya laughed when he heard what the boys said. Teams from all 5 of the great hidden villages will be there, Hokage-sama, Shikamaru said. He and Temari were in the last stages of planning for the Chunin exams, which included checking out all of the participants and their senseis. It was a long and boring process that had to be done, and the weight of these tests made it even worse. The first Kiri team since the end of the Civil War would be on display. Fumo could use the exams to kill up-and-coming ninja from Konoha and Suna while also trying to show Iwa who they should be allies with. Shikamaru stayed up all night after the Team Kurenai get together to finish making plans. In a month, the exams would start, which meant that in 2, the cage would go to Suna. He just wanted to be done with the whole damn thing and go back to watching clouds and playing shogi. The only other thing we need is the name and number of your guardian for the finals. The Godame replied, Orochi and Kakashi, and Shikamaru nodded. Do you have anything else to say? The lazy Nara answered, No, Hokage-sama. Good. For now you can go back to Team Asuma and your regular Chunin duties. Thank you for your service, Shikamaru, and you are dismissed, Tsunade said. Shikamaru made a bow and walked out of the office. As Shikamaru walked down the hallway, past the ninja waiting to meet with the Godame, he saw his 2 teammates talking. Why are you guys here? I'm here to meet Tsunade Obachan, Naruto said, still stumbling because the pills Karin gave him hadn't taken effect yet. He thought for a moment that he had never asked her what was in the pills, so he decided that from now on, he wouldn't take pills from her without first asking a few questions. Shino said, I'm here for emotional support. Shikamaru bit out a laugh. Oh, that starts today. I'm guessing you don't know who you'll be watching. Not at all. Man, I'm supposed to be out there kicking asses and saving princesses. Shino noticed. It's a statistical oddity that we've saved as many as we have. It's also annoying. Stop looking a gift horse in the mouth. Shika, you need to be more adventurous, Naruto teased, but was confused when Shikamaru grabbed him by the shoulders and looked him in the eyes. Naruto, boring is good. Boring means stable and peaceful. Enjoy the boring. Adventure is for stories. Shino said, I think he'll be too busy with something else. Before Naruto could reply, he was called into the Hokage's office. So, embracing something else? Shikamaru asked. Shino replied, yes. The Nara said, he works quickly. Or she does, said the Aburame. Good point. Should we be worried? Maybe about how tired he is, but I suggest we wait and see about everything else. I'll try to think of some alternatives, but I get it, they both said. They nodded at each other and then smiled at the same time. So, she wore him out. I didn't think that was possible without fighting for hours. There were other things that happened, but it's best not to talk about them here. Team trading is tomorrow morning. The slight change in tone made Shikamaru realize this was serious. He said he understood, and Shino left the Hokage tower to take care of his own things. As Naruto reached for the door to the Hokage's office, he felt a wave of energy rush through his body, which was followed by a very short but very painful headache. It went away just as quickly as it came, and the Uzumaki was no longer tired. He decided to thank Karin later. When Naruto walked into Tsunade's office, she was hugging him and saying, I couldn't greet you probably yesterday, so I'm making up for lost time. She soon let go of him and went back to her seat. Now, let's get down to business. I know you don't like your job, but you can best help the village by sharing what you know. Most days, you'll have one charge because she asked you to help her. It's a tricky situation, so handle it with a bit of tact. There will also be times when I'll ask you to help our forces with training seminars. Naruto nodded. He knew that no matter what he said, nothing would change, so he just had to accept it. Now, there is one more thing. Team Kurenai is put on hold because all 3 of you would be better off elsewhere. However, none of you have any medical training, so you will send a clone to the hospital to learn the basics. Naruto asked, why me? He didn't mind, and he didn't know anything about Uryo ninjutsu. But this seemed strange. Both Shino and Shika have the chakra control and intelligence for it. Shika isn't a frontline fighter, and Shino knows a lot about anatomy because of his hunter ninja training. They've also been here and could have easily been certified, so why me? Tsunade bit her lip and turned away. It was just decided that you'd be the best person for the training. Naruto looked at Tsunade with confusion. She was clearly lying and wasn't even trying hard to hide it. It didn't make sense because he had to follow her orders no matter what, and he would do it anyway because she was family. And if he learned enough, she might even show him something. At that moment, a light bulb went on. Naruto asked with a smile, You're not jealous that I've learned something from every Sannin except you, are you? Tsunade's face turned red because she was caught. Medical ninjutsu is just as cool as any other kind of ninjutsu, and you can do a lot with it. I don't disagree, Oba-chan. But there's another reason. I saw you spar with Orochi, and I know you've gotten really good in the last 3 years. But if war breaks out, you're going to be a main target. When Ai finds out you're not so easy to kill, he'll go after the people you care about. Combine that with your tendency to put yourself in danger, and you can see why I'm worried. Naruto didn't know what to say because he could tell that her concern was about more than just his safety and that it would only make her feel worse about the losses she had already suffered. He didn't like seeing her like that, it felt wrong. Don't worry, Oba-chan. I'll go through the training and anything else you want to show me. I can't die until I take that seat. Titebeo, Naruto said with a big, bright smile. Tsunade smiled back, perked up by the fact that he said he would take her place. I can't wait for you, Naruto. But don't be in a hurry. Enjoy your youth while you can, and then come save me from this chair and all this paperwork. Deal? Deal. Good. Now go meet your new student and try not to cause a problem. Diplomacy and discretion are my middle names, Naruto said to try to make the Godame feel better. But when she rolled her eyes, he knew he had failed. Just do your best and hurry up. I'm not a house cat, Titebeo, Naruto said as he left through the window to annoy his surrogate aunt. The head of the Uzumaki clan landed on the ground and then blurred to his destination, the Hyuga clan compound, where he arrived almost instantly. When Naruto showed his mission scroll to the guards outside, he was quickly let in. As they walked, Naruto felt like more and more people were watching him. The Uzumaki wanted to make a face. Yes, that boy or girl is here. Hide your wives, hide your children, he thought, sneering. Naruto was led down a few more hallways before reaching his final destination. The Hyuga slid open a door and led Naruto to an outdoor training ground with two people. The older Hyuga, who was clearly named Hayashi, looked worn out and tired. Hanabi, the younger Hyuga, seemed determined. When Hayashi realized who was there, he just left without saying anything to Naruto, but the Uzumaki didn't care. He looked at his new student and decided what to do. The girl had grown a lot since she was so small. She had bobbed her hair at some point, and with her charcoal-colored gi, she was clearly ready to train. Hello, Hanabi, Naruto said. Hello, Naruto-san, the now heiress answered back, but Naruto ignored the honorific. I have to say, I was surprised to learn that you'd be my main student. It's not that I mind, but I'm curious why the Hyuga heiress would want training from someone else. Hanabi thought he would ask that, so she was ready with a response. My Ni-chan told me that the one thing she wanted for me more than anything else was to be the kind of Hyuga I wanted to be. My clan is not just proud of its traditions and history, but also arrogant about it. This has made us stuck in our ways, and the removal of the seal hasn't helped because now the former branch members can just show off their clan membership to the rest of the village. They are proud, but they don't see the concrete ceiling they've put up above their heads. We have no S-rank ninja, no Hyuga has ever been considered for Hokage, and our main fighting style hasn't changed much, if at all. We're capable of more, but too many people are blind to it. Stuck in the habits of the past, Hanabi had to stop and take a few deep breaths because she was so angry at her clan and how they treated her sister. It felt so heavy, like you couldn't get away from it. Hinata wasn't naturally good at gentle fists, but she worked around it. She improved herself and found other ways to use her bloodline. Almost no one praised her for it, because they could only see the break with tradition. I want to be like her, a Hyuga in my own way, going my own way. That's a good goal, Hanabi. How can I help? Naruto smiled. You can help me forget how to use the gentle fist. Jiraiya let out a sigh as he sank into the soft leather chair. He thought to himself that he should talk to Naruto about getting some for the manor. He took a look around the room, which was Hiruzen's study. He didn't often talk to his sensei outside of the Hokage's office, so being here felt strange. Even more strange was the fact that his sensei was no longer the Hokage. Neither of them had had much time to get used to this the first time it happened, and the 3 years since then hadn't given them much time to adjust. A cough reminded him of Hiruzen and why he was there. Jiraiya said, I want you to stop it, sensei. His voice was resigned. He hadn't come here to make accusations or talk about the past or anything like that. All he wanted was for the older Sarutobi to stop. What are you saying, Jiraiya? Jiraiya said, whatever plan you have, whatever stage you're on in this sick little game you're playing with her, it needs to end. If she goes off the deep end or crosses the line, Haim and I will stop her. You don't need to be involved. Glaciers might have melted in Hiruzen's light. And the only reason we know what she did last time, Hiruzen said in anger. I didn't plan anything, but I won't be treated like an old man, especially not by one of my students. Jiraiya just laughed. But you weren't able to stop Danzo, so it's clear your vision isn't all-seeing, Jiraiya said in response. Hiruzen didn't show it, but he winced on the inside. The fact that he let Danzo do whatever he wanted was one of his biggest regrets, and the fact that he worked so hard to get rid of Orochimaru made him look like a hypocrite. You should know that you can't trust her, Hiruzen said in a much quieter voice. You're probably right, sensei. More than likely, even, but you haven't found anything yet, not that you've been looking, Jiraiya said sarcastically. If it were just between you two, I wouldn't care. I know you both like to play little games, and that's fine. But it's not just between you two, and I won't let Naruto suffer because you're obsessed with her. Hiruzen protested, I'm doing this for him. He was clearly upset. Well, based on what I saw this morning, you're too late, Jiraiya told Hiruzen, which made him feel bad. No, it can't be, Hiruzen denied. How could you let this happen, Jiraiya? What was I supposed to do, sensei? Camp outside his door or follow him around for the rest of my life? Jiraiya asked with a laugh. Just for once listen to me, let this go. Has everyone forgotten what she did? Those cruel, sadistic experiments. Her complete betrayal. I haven't. But here's the problem. She did those things in front of Danzo. That's the kick in the nuts, sensei. It's not that no one cares or that we aren't horrified. It's that you want to condemn her when you let your former rival do what he wanted, even after he ordered the genocide of a founding clan. Makes you look like a hypocrite. I'm going to save you a few trips to Inoichi, sensei. She did what she did, and I think part of the reason she did it was because she knew you'd find out and have to deal with the guilt and pain of her fall. You hate her for doing it to get back at you. You hate her for rejecting the will of fire, which is the most important thing to you. She desecrated it. But the thing that bothers you and keeps you up at night is one thing. What if she changes? What if she changes for and because of Naruto? What if they are actually happy together? Then it would be clear that you were partly to blame for her turning bad, and you couldn't blame her as the one true villain. Get over yourself. If she does something, we'll catch her. If not, my godson is happy and I won't have that threatened. It's not in your control and it's not your job. Enjoy your retirement and try not to alienate Naruto even more than you already have. Jiraiya stood up and exited after his words, hoping Hiruzen would listen just this once. There weren't many things Kabuto didn't like about his mistress. She'd allowed him to indulge in his sadism and scientific curiosities without judgment, so he felt duty-bound to be no less accepting of her. But every time he heard her giggle, Kabuto wanted to kill a particular redhead. It just wasn't right. She also wasn't spending hours playing with iron sand. They had real scientific discoveries to make and real discoveries to make. He had to adjust his glasses just thinking about it. He hated Naruto Uzumaki. This fact hurt even more because the boy didn't know how much damage he had done to Kabuto's life and how much he had broken Kabuto's only real connection. She came back to the village for him, dulled her edge for him, limited her work for him. It was frustrating, and now Kabuto was stuck because he tried to remove the boy and his taint from Orochimaru-sama, forced to betray her, to shamelessly cling to life just to be able to make things right. Spying for the Sandaime was almost as bad as killing Nano, which was the worst thing he did. Not just for treason, although that would have been enough. The fact that he had noticed how much Orochimaru had started hiding from him made it hurt even more. She thought he was up to something and shut him out. Kabuto's natural curiosity and lack of boundaries made him want to know. He needed to know her secrets, just beyond his conscious mind. A small voice would sometimes whisper to Kabuto that had the Sandaime not ordered him to spy, the medical ninja would have done so anyway. The young man with silver hair was getting closer. He used Orochimaru's absence as an opportunity to look through her study. After going through every book, he finally found a clue, a biometric seal that likely opened the door to her secret facility. The doctor took several pictures of the seal, making sure not to include anything that could reveal where it came from. He needed help. Kabuto only understood the most basic of Fuinjutsu, but he was lucky he had a willing pawn. A silly, little girl that led with her emotions. Kabuto would never let himself think that his well-hidden dislike for Karin might be similar to some even deeper buried feelings he had for Orochimaru-sama. It was easy to get the Uzumaki medic to do what he wanted. She was all too willing to please him. He wasn't very interested, but she clung to him like a piece of driftwood in the middle of the ocean. She was useless but sad. It was easy to trick her into breaking the seals. Kabuto would wait as long as she needed. Once he got in and knew everything there was to know, he would make things right. Somehow, some way. Naruto said, "Okay, that's enough." He laughed when he saw Hanabi's eyes light up with relief. Before he could train his student, he had to find out what her limits were. That's what their training session was for. It was only thanks to his experience with Konohamaru, Mogi and Udon he even had an inkling as what his expectations should be. Hanabi's age was about the same as theirs. He could definitely use that. We'll start teaching you your new taijutsu tomorrow and maybe give you a weapon, so think about that. Why a gun, Naruto-sensei? Because you're short and weak, Naruto said without pausing, causing Hanabi to fall on her face. When she got up, he saw her angry face, but he stopped her before she could say anything. I used to be short and weak, too. Unfortunately, not everyone you fight will be the same height and strength as you. Weapons even things out. So, what are you doing tonight? Thinking of potential weapons I want to learn. Hanabi asked. That was a good answer. Have a good day, Hanabi. The Hyuga replied, same to you, sensei, in a polite way. Naruto left the training grounds and saw a Hyuga waiting in the hallway. Hayashi-sama wants to talk to you, the Hyuga said, and Naruto nodded and followed him. As he was led through a parade of similar-looking corridors, Naruto emptied his mind. He didn't want to go into this exchange with any expectations or assumptions. Tsunade asked him not to start a political fight, and he promised that he wouldn't. Eventually, Naruto was led into a courtyard where Hayashi was sitting. Hayashi said, "Uzumaki-san," but he didn't take his eyes off the small garden in front of him. He asked, "Would you like to join me?" Naruto walked over to the man and sat down. "Ko, you are dismissed, thank you," Hayashi said, and the now-named Ko departed. "Hyuga-san," Naruto said in return. They sat together in silence for a few minutes until Hayashi decided to talk again. "What's it like to be free, Naruto?" "I don't think I'm the right person to ask that question to," Naruto answered and meant it. Since the night he was born, Naruto's future was tied to the village, and only extreme action could have changed that. Most likely, in order for Naruto to be free of the village, he would have had to do something bad. Even though he disliked the people of Konoha and had a lot of bad feelings about the old man, he never wanted to kill a lot of people. It is because of your unique position I think you are the very best person to ask this question to. My brother and my firstborn only found freedom in death. That's how constricting and limiting they found being a Hyuga. It is only in retrospect that I saw my role in their suffering. Maybe that sounds familiar. Naruto nodded at that last statement as it did sound a lot like the old man, casting himself as powerless when he was anything but. I was raised to value the Hyuga way. I believed, and believe, it kept me strong. During the war, shouldering the burdens of being a clan head, losing my wife, I leaned on those traditions to prop me up when I felt nothing else could. They were my pillars of support. Somewhere at some point, I came to believe the Hyuga way was the only path, that it could only be failed but never fail anyone. I alienated my eldest daughter because of it. I didn't encourage her. Instead, I pointed out what I thought were her flaws. When I realized she saw me for who and what I was, I hated her for it. I loved her, but I hated her all the same. Then she was taken from me. She died a hero, protecting her team, but I'd rather have her here. I'm sure you know that too. I asked Tsunade-sama personally to let you be Hanabi's tutor. I may not be able to walk down her chosen path with her, but I'll do whatever I can to make sure she's as prepared as she can be. Whatever she wants to learn. There will be no clan restrictions, so teach at your own discretion, and if you need anything from me or the clan, don't hesitate to ask. Naruto didn't really know what to say to the man that had just bared his soul to him. You could feel his pain and regret. It reminded Naruto of someone else, a man of tradition and standing that only amended his ways after irreparably failing his daughter too. Naruto told the Hyuga leader, "On my travels, I met another man in a similar situation. He couldn't give up his traditions for his daughter, and the pain of losing her changed him. For what it's worth, you're handling it better than he did." "What makes you say that?" Hayashi asked. "Because that man's path led him to the end of my sword," Naruto answered. "As for Hanabi, I'll do my best to give her the tools she needs to follow her dreams and prepare her for life as a ninja." Hayashi said, "That's all I can ask." "Thanks, Naruto." Naruto nodded and left through the Shunshin. Naruto didn't exactly pity the Hyuga leader, but he wasn't devoid of sympathy either. Regret could be a corrective or could be poison. He'd also almost been swallowed whole by it, a wrong call during a mission. He was fortunate he had Bagheera and Majula to keep his head on straight, and then his team to see him the rest of the way. Naruto thought, sigh, but not because of what he had been thinking about before. It was because a kunai was hurtling toward his head. The Uzumaki caught the multi-use knife by the handle and then shot a bored look to the owner of said projectile. "You know, if you'd pulled this 3 years ago, you'd have a pissed-off Jinchuriki trying to kill you," Naruto said. "Awa, don't be mad. I just wanted to challenge my fellow discipline is all," Anko replied. Though a part of her was grateful she didn't have a rampaging Jinchuriki after her head. The snake summoner kept an eye out for any signs of hostility, which let her catch the kunai he threw back to her. "Oh, you could have just said Titabeo, couldn't you? That's boring. So, what do you say? Wanna find out who's the stronger student of the Snake Sannin?" Anko asked with a playful smirk but frowned when she saw the Uzumaki shake his head. "I'd spar with you for fun or whatever, I'm up for making new friends. Fighting to see which of us is stronger, though, is a waste of time." "It's me," Naruto said with a shrug. "And what makes you so sure of that?" "Being a container doesn't make you invincible," Anko argued back with a bit of heat. Then she felt off. Her heart was beating fast, her knees were shaking, and she felt like her skin was coming off her bones. In a few seconds, it went from making me feel scared to hurting me deeply. "Anko, you didn't even know you were under my genjutsu, so you don't know how long you've been vulnerable to my attacks." Anko stopped the flow of her chakra because she wanted to stop it. She held it and then performed the Genjutsu Kai technique. As she did this, the Naruto in front of her vanished, leaving Anko standing alone in the street. Once her breathing came back under control, Anko smiled. the annoyance at having been dismissed given way to anticipation. He may have gotten the better of her just then, but it was only round 1. Naruto kept going to his final destination. He wondered if Anko managed to deduce how he activated his genjutsu. He was unsure. Channeling the chakra through her kunai wasn't a common practice, so she likely wouldn't think her catching it was the triggering event. He didn't know much about his fellow special jounin, but he figured that his trick wouldn't bother her. Even so, he wouldn't mind. He arrived at his destination, being welcomed by the ice cream scooper. "Hey Naruto, welcome back," the Daily Scoop employee said. The brunette had known Naruto for years, him coming into the shop as a chubby-cheeked boy just wanting to be treated fairly. Naruto said, "Thanks, Yurei-san. What can I get for you today?" "I'm going to have the butter pecan, 2 scoops in a waffle cone. I would also like 2 scoops of Rocky Road in a bowl." "Oh, do you have a companion? Is it that cute little panther, Magila?" "No, not today. She's also not so little anymore." "Neither are you. Time is funny like that," Yurei said as she was preparing his order. "I suppose," Naruto said. He took his order and grabbed a seat at the marble counter. His guest didn't keep him waiting for long. When she walked in, the mood of the room changed, but her face didn't show that she had noticed or cared. Naruto wondered if she were truly apathetic or feigned it to secretly increase her enjoyment. "Naruto-kun," she said while taking a seat beside the Uzumaki. "You have really good timing," Naruto said. "What can I say? I am a woman of many talents." "And humble," Naruto noticed. "Humility is for farmers and monks, Naruto-kun. I will never pretend to be less than what I am out of some notion of social desirability. I hope you wouldn't either. False humility isn't my thing. But there was a time when I really needed to be humbled. Thankfully, Bagheera set me straight, which may have saved my life. Now, though," Naruto shrugged, "I don't have that same need for external validation. I know who I am and what I can do. As long as you don't get weak," the Sannin answered. "I'm so impressive that I don't think I could pull off being meek anyway." Orochimaru gave him a once-over. "Yes, quite obvious," she said, and then finally tried the ice cream in front of her. She couldn't help smiling because the frozen treat tasted so good. She wanted to wipe that smug, knowing smile off Naruto's face, even though she found it cute. Naruto quickly went back to his own treat, happy that he had made the right choice. Naruto said, "Anko gave me a challenge today. He wanted to see which of your students was the best ninja." "Oh, yep, threw a kunai at my head and everything," Naruto added. Orochimaru asked, "Is she still alive?" He knew that the villagers couldn't attack him for no reason. Naruto was happy. "Of course, I didn't hurt her in the slightest, but I'll probably have to fight her so the surprise attacks can get worse." Kyukuku, "Yes, Anko-chan can be very persistent," Kyukuku said. The two kept talking as they left the ice cream shop and headed to her house. "So that's why you wanted to take me there?" Orochi asked. "I wanted to take you there because they treated me like a normal person, and I thought you would like it." "Which is now empty," she said as she walked toward her door and saw that Naruto had stopped moving. She turned to see a puzzled look on his face. "What makes you think it's abandoned?" he asked as he moved closer. "Last night was just incentive to be more diligent." "Sorry, plan's already in motion and there's no stopping it now," Naruto said lowly, their faces mere inches apart. We'll see. You coming in? It would save me the trouble of breaking in tonight," he answered softly, standing close enough for her to feel her smile. "Yes, that energy could be put to better use," Orochi said as she opened the door while never turning away from Naruto, swiftly pulling him into a kiss. Naruto returned the gesture by wrapping his arms around her and lifting her up, which was one better than the famous Sannin. Orochimaru wrapped her legs around her fiery-haired lover as Naruto carried her inside and shut the door with his foot. No one would see the two people again for the rest of the day. Darui sighed from boredom. The journey was boring. The fact that he had to move in complete secrecy made the trip longer and kept him from going anywhere or doing anything interesting. It was a part of being the Raikage second, his essential man. Darui's movements drew notice. Spies of the 4 great hidden villages and even some minor ones would be interested in where he went and why. So, this had to happen as secretly as possible. Darui wasn't helping matters by doing something he didn't believe in. He was going to meet someone on the coast, where a campfire was lighting up a lush forest behind an older man. He noticed Darui and the Kumo Jounin could feel those yellow eyes analyzing him, taking his measure, but the Storm-style user didn't care to delay this any more than necessary. Darui told Shino-san, "The Raikage has agreed to your conditions. The prisoners will be handed over to you 5 days before your attack." "Great. Then I'll help him. Konoha will fall, and the land of sky will rise again from its ashes," Shino said with a sinister grin that could be seen in the firelight. The pair would iron out more specifics before Darui departed. After he was sure that the Kumo ninja had left the area, the third person in the room came out from the ground. You were right to let Kumo find me, Zetsu-san. They will give me everything I need to not only crush Konoha, but them as well. Yes, and once you do that, you can become the Sky Emperor you were always meant to be, just as I told you when you were a boy. With the power of the Zero Tails, I'll be unstoppable and rule over everyone from the sky like a god. Yes, but first Konoha must fall and 2 members, in particular, cannot survive this attack. Tell me their names, and I will see to it that they die. Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. Tsunade said. Darui was seen leaving the land of lightning. Our people lost track of him in the land of hot water, but we think he was meeting with Kumo's front if they fight a proxy war. The news came in late last night, but Tsunade didn't find out about it until she got to her office. She called her teammates and her advisors right away. Hamura asked, should we kill him while he's away from the village? They had been getting more information about the other villages, mostly about their most important people. Darui was the Raikage second in command. He rarely left Kumo unless it was for important state business. Tsunade shook her head to say no. There are a few problems with that plan. First, we may know how he got to hot water, but that doesn't mean he'll come back the same way. Second, my agents told me he wasn't alone. Since he's one of Kumo's most skilled and powerful shinobi, we'd have to be very careful about who we send after him. Tsunade said. Surely Team Kakashi or Team Guy would do. Both teams have 2 jounin, and the younger ones are prodigies, Hamura said, but he frowned when he heard Jiraiya laugh. Is something wrong, Jiraiya? I just think we're using the word prodigy too loosely. More importantly, we know Darui isn't alone. That doesn't tell us how many people are with him, but I'd put good money on him being accompanied by Kumo's ANBU. How confident are you that Neji or Sasuke can handle multiple Black Ops ninja, cover their teammates, and be ready to help Guy or Kakashi if they need it? Not just their commitment to peace kept Konoha from starting a fight with another village. A big part of their brand was that they were the nicer ninjas. It made the other villages laugh, but the number of contracts Konoha got every year showed that their way worked. Because of these contracts, their genin didn't have to start out on as dangerous or violent missions. Instead, they could learn and grow without the harsher experiences of the other major villages. Tsunade added, it's also thought that Darui is a voice of moderation in their government. If he's gone, we lose someone who may have been working to avoid this unnecessary conflict, making it more likely that it will happen. Koharu said, this seems to back up the idea that Ai is looking for a smaller village to do his dirty work. It's a matter of which one. You can rule out Claw and Fang because if either of them paid attention to Odo, the other would attack, Hamura said. Not Taki, not since Team 7 saved that cowardly leader, Koharu said. But they didn't exactly try to get along with us, so maybe we could do something to strengthen that relationship. Tsunade asked, do you have any ideas? Well, we have a Jinchuriki with a lot of training. Maybe he could teach them a thing or two, Koharu said. It would be a sign of trust. I'll write up the offer today and let Naruto know if Taki agrees. I doubt it's Kyusa, but Jiraiya, if you have the means, have your network pay attention to them. Tsunade told Jiraiya. Sure, I'll take care of it right away. It's another gift from Orochi's bad luck as a Nukenin. I thought the brave Jiraiya would praise me for saving a young girl from being sucked dry. Or is that, like most of what you say, just self-promotional nonsense? Plus, she is Naruto clansman. Kuns, Jiraiya pointed out that she didn't have to kill her whole team. She wasn't even mad at her barb. I don't have to do a lot of the things I do. But she wanted to leave and it was faster than negotiating, so it all worked out. Okay, enough, you two. We can be pretty sure Aim won't help Ai. Konan-san may not like us, but I doubt she avoided an invasion just to start a war. Hamura asked, could I have brought together a group of smaller villages? If Sensei is telling the truth, he doesn't strike me as diplomatic. Finding a village with an existing grudge is one thing, but bringing others along for a shared vision, I doubt it. His ninja are trained to put up with him, but I can't see others doing the same, said the Godam. After a while, Tsunade called an end to the meeting. There wasn't much to learn from it, other than how little everyone knew, which was something no one was too happy about. As the advisors left, Tsunade asked that Orochi stay behind. She told her, Koharu and I are having a girls' night, so you have to come. Orochimaru said, I have plans. No, you don't. I can always tell when you're lying, so you're coming, even if I have to drag you there. Strongest of the Sannin, my arse. Like I told that pervert, let me know whenever you want to test the claim. Tsunade said, I'll take you up on that. But not tonight. Her friend looked hesitant. Come on, it'll be fun. If you want, you can invite Anko. Orochimaru said, fine, but I'm not drinking, which made Tsunade laugh. The Snake Sannin didn't do well with alcohol, which the last Senju always thought was cute. We'll see, Tsunade said in a whisper as her oldest friend left. eager to get her drunk and then find out about her new relationship. So, Mokuten? Asked the lazy Nara heir. His most annoying teammate told him what he had learned on his training trip, and Shikamaru almost left in shock when Shino said he had found Naruto's ability with the most famous nature release in the whole village. The three of them laid down in the early morning sun at the place where their team trained. Shika said, "You made an apple tree," with a lot of doubt in her voice. "Who is Orochimaru of the Sannin, so you can impress your new girlfriend?" "You knew I liked her before I left, you dumbass," Naruto shot back. "I thought it was just a crush on your part, and she even stabbed you. There was a mix-up there. She said she would kill everyone in my clan and Shino's clan," Shikamaru said next. "She was just playing," she said. Shikamaru didn't care about that stupid answer. "You're happy too." "Shika, we've only just started dating, but yes, fine, I approve." "Oh, there were no warnings about her evil plans." "No, I can't accept you, but there's a cost." "You're my friend, bastard." "No, it doesn't." "Yes, it does, and she knows too. Since you're our friend, you'll do it without a fuss." Naruto stood up on his elbows and looked at his friend, wondering what the boy with the pineapple hair could want. Shikamaru never took his eyes off the few clouds in the sky, but he could feel Naruto looking at him. He decided to make his teammate wait a little longer than necessary just to annoy him. "Tonight, you're having a party. Team Asuma, Team Kakashi, and Team Guy, and maybe a few others, will be there." "Nope," Naruto said with a strong voice. Shino added, "The rule was that you couldn't complain, Naruto." "I haven't complained, I just turned down the request," the Uzumaki said to make things clear. "Troublesome. Naruto, how are you going to be Hokage if you aren't even known by your own generation? You need to start building a reputation and connections, or if you don't want to do that, just tell everyone that the fourth is your father." Naruto asked, "How did you figure it out?" and saw both of his teammates grin. Shino's answer was, "With a lot of work and even more care. It wasn't easy. You two look more alike now than you did before you left. Why didn't you tell us?" "I'll answer your question with a question, Shika. What was your first reaction when you found out Yondaime was my father?" Shikamaru didn't answer, but the grimace on his face was all Naruto needed. Naruto asked rhetorically, "That makes sense," or something like that, right? Naruto looked up at the sky and said, "I was already under one shadow, and I didn't want to be under another. I also didn't want people to think that all my hard work was basically worthless compared to the obvious genius I inherited. That's nonsense, and even you, who knows me better than almost anyone else, couldn't help yourself." "I still don't think that, Naruto," Shikamaru said in defense. "I didn't think you did it, but not everyone is you. If my skills aren't credited to the Kyuubi, they will be credited to my father's legacy. I respect him, but not so much that I want him to get credit for my hard work," Shino added, "especially when you want to beat him," and Naruto agreed. "Exactly," the Aburame said. "That's all the more reason to grow your network. If you don't have a family name, you need to be more visible." "Fine. I'm assuming you talked to Teuya and Karin about this, right? I don't want them to be surprised by this, since it's also their house." "Yes, I asked Teuya and Karin, and they said it was fine." "Ugh, okay. What should I do?" "Get the food and set up your backyard." "Do you have a grill?" "I can get one," he said, planning to try making one with his steel release. "Please do. Choji will handle it." Shino added, "You will also need to get along with Team Guy. I've accepted the fact that I'm not the problem." Shikamaru asked, "Do you not see why they would want one? You didn't have to do what you did. You could have beaten Lee and Neji in other ways. I gave them both a chance to give in, but neither did. How am I to blame for their refusal? To give you credit, because that's what it was about. 2 more Konoha ninja couldn't give you what you deserved, so you had to punish them in ways you wouldn't have been able to otherwise." "When did you become a Yamanaka?" Naruto asked, and Shino and Shika could hear the anger in his voice, even though he tried to hide it. "Troublesome. Before you get angry, I'm not saying you have to apologize. What you did was justified and even kind to enemy ninja. They were competitors, not enemies, and that's the difference. If you just wanted to be a career jounin, it wouldn't matter, but you want more. People will fear you, Naruto, unless you give them a reason not to. People were afraid of me long before I did anything to make them afraid. In fact, they were afraid of the Kyuubi. That fear has gone away. But if you need to show off your skills, those who have been mean to you may expect and fear that you'll get back at them for what they've done," Shino said. "What am I supposed to do? Shake hands with babies and kiss their hands? Let the rest of the village know how much pain we've learned to take in the behind." "Oh, Shino, that hurt." As proof, Shika said, "Kurenai-sensei did call you her problem child." Naruto replied, "She only said that because I'm her favorite. I think it's pretty clear that she likes me the most because I'm calm. work hard, and don't need much attention. Troublesome, it would be me. I'm the most naturally suited to her specialty. I don't get into stupid competitions, and I don't buzz like a low-powered vibrator. Shika, do you know how different vibrators sound and how much power they have? Shino said, I bet he is. Why not? Sex would be too much trouble, which made Shikamaru look annoyed while Naruto laughed. Shikamaru said, asshole, but he didn't really mean it. Alright, enough about Shika's sexual problems. Guys, we're here to train, so let's get crazy. Naruto said excitedly as he did a handspring to get back on his feet. Will he follow us if we run? Shikamaru asked Shino in a whisper. Shino said, like a hound on a scent. I wouldn't have to, you two slackers. I've already tagged you both. Let's go. Onoki, who has been caged for the longest time in the history of the hidden villages, was staring at his granddaughter. She often said that she would replace him one day, and he never doubted her ability as a kunoichi. It was her dislike of other things that made him think twice. But if she wanted to be the leader of his village, he would drag her along by her hair. This was one of those attempts, a meeting to talk about plans. He had to decide quickly about Konoha, and he thought this was the perfect time to show his granddaughter how a cage should think. So, asked the old Tsuchikage, I think we should stay out of it and let the tree huggers figure it out on their own. What if they lose, or even worse, what if Konoha falls? Then they'd be gone, and we wouldn't have done anything about it. Other than the fact that Konoha keeps us apart, what would bring Kumo and Iwa together? Kuritosuke asked, do you think they'd attack us after we beat Konoha? I think we'd be stupid not to get ready if they claimed such a big victory. That's still not enough reason to join forces with Konoha. We wouldn't get much out of it. Just it's a mutual protection deal, not even a trade deal. Kuritosuke said, but she frowned when she saw her grandfather shake his head in disappointment. When the old man did that, it made her mad. An agreement of mutual protection is a trade deal. If any citizen from the land of earth or fire were to be attacked while traveling to the other nation, villages would have the right to act, including merchants. As it is now, those who would risk traveling between our nations do not enjoy the joint protections, so there is very little trade. Join them, he said. But Kumo has the strongest military. It has the most ninja per person and spends the most on its military of all the major villages. Who knows what kind of progress they are making or what kind of breakthroughs they might share with an ally or use against an enemy. Then don't join Konoha and join Kumo. You should also think about the Suna. They are on the rise, and their cage is young but strong, especially in the deserts of Wind Country. What do you want me to say, old man? What's the best choice? That depends on how you look at it. Many people say Konoha has never lost a shinobi war, which is true in direct combat. However, after the first shinobi war, the ironworkers who lived in the land of fire moved to the land of stone. Because of this, the quality of our weapons went up, which made our missions more effective and brought in more money. Konoha wins the second shinobi war, but AIM closes its borders for good, so travel has to be rerouted. The trades that happen in the land of rivers are the seed that eventually leads Suna and Konoha to form an alliance, all because they depend on each other more and more. Tell me more about the third shinobi war. Honestly, no one gained much from that. Konoha should have, but the Kyuubi's rampage just a few years after the war ended took away any gains they could have made. There are many ways to look at this choice, and whether something is right or wrong is often a matter of how it is done, not the decision itself. Kuritosuke asked, then what are you going to do? Onoki replied, I don't know. He knew a lot, but he didn't know why I was doing what he was doing. This was the most important piece of the puzzle. The fence sitter didn't move until he figured out why. He could tell that her answer didn't make her happy. She made up her mind quickly and would rather make the wrong choice quickly than the right one slowly. It made sense, because she was the kind of person who would face the results of her actions head on. But sometimes it was best to be careful and plan out the angles before you moved. She had to be patient. Onoki wasn't a person who didn't have any patience. It got him his nickname, which many people thought was an insult. Many people didn't realize that power and authority could be seen and felt in what it did and what it didn't do. By putting off making a formal deal with Konoha, Kumo was able to make a counteroffer. Onoki didn't know for sure what I was thinking, but he thought that the fact that they hadn't meant that his fellow village leader was ready to see this through and confident that he didn't need help to reach his goal. What was it, though? I had been trying to steal bloodlines and gain power for years. One reason Onoki hired the Akatsuki was to help him train and prepare his forces better. What was I looking for? Onoki didn't think the Raikage really thought he could destroy Konoha with just Kumo's power. That idea was shot down by the Sannin, Hiruzen, and a group of other top ninja. The next one was the Jinchuriki from Konoha. If he didn't know for sure that Hiruzen and the Namikaze boy didn't get along, he'd say that the old monkey tried to make a shinobi that was just like him, mastering all 5 nature releases by the time they are teenagers, with extra training from Hiruzen's own students. Jinchuriki were supposed to be S-rank ninja because of their biju, not in spite of or in addition to. If Ai's only goal was to get rid of the boy from the board, Onoki would get it. It was one reason why Onoki had only shown Ross's file to his most trusted advisor. He hadn't told Roshi why. Besides the fact that the boy was also a Jinchuriki, he wanted Han and Roshi to meet him. Onoki didn't hate Minato for no reason, but he couldn't blame his ninja for it. One man changed the course of the war, and on his way to the Pure Land, he gave the most powerful biju to his son, who seemed to be very smart. Onoki wondered if Kuratuski would ever be able to beat such a ninja. The wise Cage thought, the future. All of the Cage worked hard at it. Strength in the present was used to protect the future. His mind moved quickly because age hadn't dulled it. Could this be what I wants? A war to stop Konoha from growing. Weaken them for at least a generation. Is that why the man doesn't seem to want to make friends? Only 10 to 15 ninja have to die for you to win. Even though it was just a guess, Onoki felt like he was right. If that was the case, it made the elder think of even more questions and plans. That was fine, though. He never moved a second before or after the right time. Jiraiya asked his godson, so, should I stay away tonight? As several clones finished setting up for the gathering that would happen later that night. Under the new gazebo, there were now wood tables and benches. There were torches set up, but they weren't lit yet. Off to the side was a concrete pit that was waiting to be lit for tonight's party. Naruto replied, there will be other adults here, and you can talk to them about how kids these days blah 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 blah. Jiraiya smiled like Naruto and then pretended to be annoyed. I'm not one of those old people who say things like back in my day, but you kids should respect the amazing, enviable, #1 brave shinobi. And if you keep adding adjectives, I'm sure we will someday. Of course, we'll all die someday, but you have to think the odds are in your favor on this one. Has your mouth always been as smart as it is now? And I just didn't notice. Naruto replied, no. There was that time after you told me I was the shinobi messiah when I was too scared to be funny. Jiraiya scratched the back of his head in shame. Oh, yay. Enough of that, perv. I've made peace with it, Naruto told Jiraiya when he saw her getting sad. Hey, Stump. Naruto heard Teuya say, even though she didn't have to. Jiraiya asked, does it get old when she calls you that? Yes, but I really don't want to encourage her to be creative, Naruto said as they walked toward their newly arrived guests. Ino and Choji had come with Shika and Shino. As Naruto walked up to the group, he smiled. As he became a host, he said, hey guys, welcome to my house. Several of Leaf's most important women were sitting around a rectangular table in another part of the village. As they waited for the last person to arrive, they could drink sake, tea, and eat snacks. When Kurenai sat down, a servant brought her tea and then left. Toharu, who was in charge of this get-together, said, it's so nice to see you all again. She was getting out of the public eye, which she didn't mind. Jiraiya and Orochi were there to help guide Tsunade, and Shizune kept her in check. It had been a long time since the younger generations were given a chance to grow up, but she still had a lot of life experience to share, so these gatherings were meant to make the generation after Tsunade feel like they could approach her if they wanted to. She also hoped that they would keep doing it. Shizune said, thank you for having us, Koharu-sama. She chose tea over alcohol, knowing that her teacher would choose alcohol. Tsunade said, yeah, enough of this formal stuff. I'm here to chill out. Anko laughed at the Godame's arrogance, while Kurenai smiled politely. Yugao and Orochi, on the other hand, didn't show any reaction. If Mito-sama saw how rude you are, Tsunade-chan, she'd cane you, Koharu replied. Don't act like that, I have to be formal all day, Tsunade said. Orochimaru said, Kyukaku was so much easier when you could just punch everything. Right, Tsunade said, her face lighting up. Koharu just let out a sigh and decided to leave. Kurenai, dear, how are you? Honestly, I'm just ready to be done with being pregnant. If it's not being as big as a house, it's all the people who hover over me like I'm made of glass. Asuma, Anko asked. The Genjutsu mistress said, he and my boys, Shino and Shikamaru. I wouldn't be surprised if I had a panther summon watching me and I just didn't know it. Even though she said it as a complaint, everyone saw the warm smile she gave. Yugao asked, did you decide on a name? Mirai Sarutobi, said Kurenai, and everyone in the group except Orochimaru nodded in agreement. Since she had an abortion, the Snake Sannin had not thought much about giving birth. But that was before Naruto came along. She knew that one of his goals was to start a family, and she didn't want to stop him from doing that. If things kept going the way they were, she would probably get pregnant sooner rather than later. One could forgive Naruto for being lazy, since her supposed age would make it impossible for her to have children. But that wasn't the case, and she was perfectly able to have a child. Hanko called out, "Sensei," to pull Orochi out of her thoughts. Where did you go?" Tsunade asked, but the smug look on her face made it clear that she didn't really want to know the answer. "It doesn't matter where it was, you're falling behind, so drink up," said the Sannin to her former teammate as she put a saucer to her lips and drank the liquid in it. Happy, ecstatic. As with their previous get-togethers, the women talked about how their personal and professional lives had changed. Help was given and tips and suggestions were shared. Even though she had been drinking too much, Tsunade noticed that Orochimaru was quieter than usual. Tsunade had seen her friend become more at ease, or more accurately, had seen the other women in the room become more at ease with her. "Hey, Orochi, what's the matter?" The Sannin said, "I'm making a plan to steal your souls," and she laughed at the looks people were giving her. Even though they couldn't just laugh off what she said, they were pretty sure she wasn't being serious. "PFFT, you can have it. And while you're at it, do all my damn work," said Tsunade. "But if you try to take the hat, we might have to fight." Orochi told her fellow Sannin, "Kyukuku, don't worry, Tsunade-chan. I no longer want that job." The snake summoner could tell by the look on Tsunade's face that she had made a mistake. Tsunade asked, "Oh, and what positions do you want? Or is it more important who you do them with?" Shizune told Tsunade-sama, "That's rude." Shizune turned red when Tsunade said, "Oh, Shizu-chan, that's the point. Also, don't act like a prude. I know you don't take extra long lunches because you want to savor your food. Don't be shy, Shizune-chan. Genma is a nice young man." Even Minato thought so, Koharu told the young woman, and she nodded to show that she agreed. Tsunade said, "Yes, Shizune, hurry up and have some kids so I can spoil them. I'll make them poker aces before they can even walk." She was happy for her student and friend because she knew that all of Shizune's traveling had cost him a lot. Tsunade wanted her student to take as much advantage as she could of this stability. Orochimaru said, "You couldn't even make one for yourself, Tsunade-chan." A tick mark was given to the Senju. "That's not because I'm not smart, I just have bad luck." Excuses, Tsunade-chan. "I'm never too far from a deck of cards, Orochi. If you want, we can start a game. But if I beat you, I'm sure as hell not taking you out for ice cream," Tsunade said with a wicked grin. Orochimaru replied, "I'd never get any if it depended on you winning a bet anyway." Tsunade took out her cards and said, "We're doing this, and don't go crying to your boyfriend when I spank you." All the women in the village watched as the two most powerful Kunoichi, and maybe even ninja, fought like kids. Pure and I thought about how Tsunade said boyfriend and wondered if Naruto was already in a relationship. She would soon have to talk to her troublemaker. Pure and I no longer had doubts about the snake Sannin, but he still liked to know what was going on. "Yay, Naruto, do a cool lava jutsu," Kiba exclaimed. When Sakura gave him the facepalm, Sasuke gave him the tusk, and Kakashi-sensei gave him the "I'm totally going to kill you but I'm pretending to be super chill" vibe, he realized he had made a mistake. Was that still a secret?" he asked shyly, and even Akamaru moved away from his partner. Shikamaru grimaced. So far, this night was going great. As he had guessed, Choji and Naruto got along well and became fast friends. Team Kakashi showed up late, and Kiba brought a few kegs of beer with him. However, they were friendly. Even Team Guy was nice, if a little cold, until Lee broke down and asked Naruto to a fight when he was younger. This made Guy-sensei cry at the show. Plan was going well. That went well. Even better, Temari was here, so Shikamaru could relax with her and know that no one would do anything to cause a scene. But it wasn't enough. He should have known it was coming. No one just becomes a jounin when they are a teenager. It takes a combination of skill and drive, which points to a natural desire to win. Sasuke had it, Neji had it, and Naruto did too, though he kept it hidden. Naruto, on the other hand, was competing against the Hokage, specifically the Nidaime, Sandaime, and Yondaime. Naruto didn't compare himself to his generation because there was a huge gap between them and the people he wanted to beat. This wasn't because he was proud of himself. So, when Sasuke showed off a powerful Katen jutsu, and Neji showed how powerful his vacuum palms were, Naruto didn't feel the need to do the same. That was just not going to work. Everyone there except Shino and him wanted to see the ninjutsu prodigy do something. Naruto wasn't used to having so much attention on him, so he felt uncomfortable and just agreed to get everyone to stop. The Uzumaki made a mistake when they asked what the people wanted to see. Because he asked, Kiba told him what he really thought. The blue eyes of Naruto were fixed on Kiba's. Shika didn't know if his relaxed posture was a good or bad sign. No one knew what kind of math the Uzumaki was doing in his head. As the time went on, Shikamaru got help from someone he didn't expect. Teuya yelled, "The secret is out, so just do the fucking jutsu or don't and screw him up. But do something, stump." Jiraiya said. Hey, now, there's no need for that. As if he was worried Naruto might take option and use it for option B. Naruto gave a roll of the eyes. He knew he was going to start showing off his real skills soon, but he wanted to see how the people there would react first. Don't worry, Godfather. No one's going to attack you because you made a mistake with your words. We're all friends here, Naruto said. Then he turned his back on the crowd and walked over to the pond. Naruto did the internal manipulation by quickly making a series of hand seals. This added pressure and heat to a Doton base. By dividing the chakra into semi-solid orbs, which he then shot out of his mouth, he was able to do this. The teams watched as clumps of lava shot up. But that wasn't all that would happen. As they reached the top of their climb, they broke up into many smaller pieces and fell into the water like a storm of falling stars, making steam. As Naruto walked back toward his guests, he said, lava style, meteor shower. Show off, said Sasuke, and Naruto just gave a shrug. Hino was angry. That's how you got the lava ash. You jerk, I begged you to tell me. And Shika, you knew the whole time. I took an oath not to tell. The Yamanaka yelled, it was your secret. Shikamaru laughed, showing that his attempt to hide didn't work. The time had run out. The annoying blonde heard him, and he was going to have to pay for it tomorrow. Well, Naruto, it looks like you're getting a little better, Kakashi said. I'm glad you said that, because I owe you a fight, Naruto said. Kakashi gave Jiraiya a quick glance. The Sannin was shaking his head no, which confirmed what Kakashi already thought. It looks like little brother wanted to get even, but that wasn't something he could do. Oh, Naruto, I'm very busy. Hiba needs some extra training. I have to get ready for when I take Hokage-sama to Suna. I have missions, I read a lot. I have a lot going on in my life. If I didn't know better, Nai-sama, Naruto said, I'd think you were trying to avoid me. But after 3 years, that won't do, Titebeo. Hiba asked, wait, why do you call Kakashi-sensei your big brother? Naruto was tempted to tell the Inuzuka that he probably wouldn't answer that question to a lightweight with a loose tongue. But he didn't. Naruto started to think about why he hadn't told them after talking to Shika about why he hadn't. No, he didn't want to live in his dad's shadow, but he was damn proud of the man. Yondaime was his second favorite Hokage, and he wanted to beat both him and Tobirama-sama. And the truth was that he could either do it or not. Even though I tried to avoid the shadow, that didn't change. Because Minato Namikaze was my father and his sensei, he said. Everyone around him, except Temari, looked at him with doubt. Naruto thought that Baki-sama or Gaara must have told her at some point. No matter how close they got, the Uzumaki couldn't imagine Shikamaru telling her that without first telling him. Jiraiya said, it's true, because he didn't want anyone to say something stupid. Then why didn't anyone know? Sakura asked with a hint of doubt. Naruto said, you'd have to ask the old man. Tenten asked, when you say the old man, do you mean Sandaime-sama? Naruto nodded. You should be more polite when you talk about him, the weapons mistress told her. Guy, Asuma, and Jiraiya were behind her, so she didn't see them getting tense. When Naruto saw them, he rolled his eyes. He wouldn't say he didn't get angry sometimes and hated the old man. But he wasn't crazy. I've always called him that, and if he didn't like it, he would say something. But he had his own reasons. Neji said, with just a hint of bitterness, it looks like you really got lucky, Naruto-san. Naruto replied, sure. He didn't care about that line of thought. Neji, however, had other ideas. Do you deny it? 2 of the Sannin trained you, and you're talented like your father. Have you not been lucky? Some good, some bad, I don't really want to keep track. If you need to believe that some divine force has blessed me, that's fine, but that's not really my thing. There is no denying that fate works. Winners and losers are chosen at birth. Yes, I've heard this before. You were the winner and I was the loser, right? Or are you now the loser? That seems vague for a worldview, Neji said, as his anger over Naruto's dismissal reached a boiling point. Those who deny fate are punished. Let Hinata-sama be a proof of that. Suma said in a stern voice, Guy, you better shut that kid up before I do it for you. He wouldn't let anyone talk badly about his late student in front of him, and Neji was old enough to be held responsible for what he said. Maybe we should change the subject, Neji. It's not right to talk like this about the dead. I don't mean to offend you, Guy-sensei. It's just the truth. She went against the Hyuga traditions and her fate, so when the time came she wasn't ready. If she had trained like a real Hyuga, she might have lived long enough to lead our clan. Only Team Guy truly knew the complicated feelings Neji had about Hinata's death. In life, he hated her. She represented every source of unfairness and pain in his life. She rejected the Hyuga traditions in ways he'd never have been allowed to. The former seal on his forehead assured compliance. The resentment never truly went away, but he also never wanted her to die. His statements were not meant as an admonishment but a warning. She tried to be something other than what she should have been and forfeited her life in exchange. It made him anxious to learn Hanabi planned to do the same, especially as he had a significantly better relationship with her. Your words are illogical, Shino said. It is a tautological fairy tale. To what end I will not speculate, but I will say, you know nothing of Naruto if you think he was selected a winner at birth, and the very idea offends me. I did not know Hinata-san well, but she died supporting her team, and that deserves more than to be characterized as a failure of her abilities. Fuck yeah, you're being an asshole, Teuya rejoined. Hey, don't talk to him like that, Tenten exclaimed. Or what, you tree-hugging bitch. Or Tenten never finished her statement as a foreboding wave washed over all. Shino and Shikamaru knew what that was. Not killing intent but akin. It made you want to sit down, shut and obey because the person who projected it meant business and would hurt you if you didn't. Beads of sweat appeared on several foreheads as a result, but the arguing stopped. Thank you, Shino. You, too, Teuya, Naruto spoke calmly, a tone that didn't match the vibe he'd sent out. I won't argue your beliefs, Neji. I do feel fortunate the Yondaime was my father even if he only got to be so for a few hours. If my parentage explains something to you or sets your world right, fine. Whatever gets you through the day. I appreciate you all coming. Thank you for cooking choji, it was a meal to remember. I sincerely hope we can do this again, but I think it best we call it a night, yay. Naruto created several clones to clean up after his gathering, one to see everyone off while he shunshined to the roof. He needed a little alone time. Teuya and Shino retired to her room for the night while Shikamaru and Temari trailed behind Choji and Ino. It was almost a successful night, Shika, Temari offered. Shikamaru awarded her with a smile. He figured she'd understand what he was doing. She'd likely had to do things to rehabilitate Gaara's image in Suna. I'd call it a success. Before his training trip, Naruto would have leapt over that table and beat Neji within an inch of his life. That's assuming he hadn't done it to Kiba. I'm almost proud of him. Temari laughed and Shikamaru wished he could elicit that response on command with how light it made him feel. I remember the first time I witnessed Gaara settle a dispute with just his words and no threats. The pride I felt was immeasurable, so I understand where you're coming from. Our troublesome redheads are growing up so fast. The pair moved about the village, the starlight of the village's outskirts giving way to the streetlights of its urban core. Side by side they walked, talking around an issue neither wanted to address. Temari was to leave within a couple of weeks, returning to Suna. Shikamaru wouldn't be traveling with the Hokage's envoy. Kurenai-do-sensei's date was just around that time. When she left, it may be quite some time before they saw each other again. And if something happened, if Konoha was pulled into a war with Kumo, it could be longer still, or never again. Shikamaru sometimes wondered if it had been better if he'd waited. The hidden villages were not in a period of stability. The current tensions could not continue without a triggering event occurring. Maybe he should have held off until those events transpired, had faith they'd both live through them. Of course, there was no guarantee she'd still be available or interested if he had. On some level, Shikamaru knew this was all pointless speculation. He wouldn't change things, but he simply couldn't turn his brain off as it churned through the possibilities. He could never know if he'd done the right thing or the smart thing. The Nara's thoughts were broken up when he felt himself being pushed. Years of honed reflexes allowed Shikamaru to right himself without any difficulty. He looked over to his companion in mock annoyance. You aren't going to figure out the world by the time we reach the embassy. Stop thinking so hard. I certainly won't now. What a drag. Shikamaru was rewarded with another bout of Temari's laughter. The next day found Tsunade at her private training grounds. As was her routine, Hiruzen was there as well. As the Sandaime had promised, he continued to train Tsunade even after she was named his replacement. Tsunade kept to the arrangement as she was seeing improvements in her long-neglected ninjutsu, non-medical repertoire. It also allowed her to keep tabs on her sensei. She knew he likely still had some kind of plan to trap Orochi. Today, however, was different as the teacher and student had two visitors. Her ANBU alerted her that Jiraiya and Naruto were requesting permission to join her for the session. She granted permission and the two appeared before her in an instant. Both Hiruzen and her awaited an explanation, after an exchange of pleasantries, an exchange that was stilted and forced. It dawned on her that this may have been the first time Sensei and Naruto had seen each other since the latter's return. What's going on? She asked, breaking up the bickering duo. She saw Naruto scratch the back of his head, something he did when he was feeling shy or embarrassed. She couldn't for the life of her figure out what would cause that reaction. Then she wondered if maybe it was advice he sought. Maybe advice about a certain snake summoner. Just tell her, kid, Jiraiya said. He could never get used to when his godson got like this. Strongest shinobi of the village but gets bashful over the weirdest things. So, Kakashi let it slip he's going to be one of your guards during the Chunin exams. Jiraiya and I figured neither of us would be your second since we hadn't been informed yet. Yes, that's true, Tsunade confirmed. Well, the rakeage is going to be there, Naruto continued. If anyone else had said that, the implication of the statement would have caused Tsunade to lose her temper and beat them senseless for it. As if she couldn't handle Yes, he will. What's going on, Naruto? Well, I know you're super strong and all, but his lightning armor just presents a hard counter to your best abilities. Over my training trip I developed some workarounds to his cloak. Jiraiya knows them, too, but since we won't be there I was wondering if you'd like to learn them as well. Hiruzen had to fight back a pang of regret seeing the interaction between Naruto and Tsunade. He recalled the bright-eyed little boy he used to regale with stories of the Hokage. The second and the fourth were always his favorites. Naruto idolized them. Most residents did, but it was always different with the Uzumaki. To be able to teach a Hokage something, it would mean a great deal to him, and explained his manner. I certainly don't mind, Naruto, but how do you know your methods will work? Tsunade posed the sensible question. Naruto took a look at Jiraiya and the Toad Sage nodded his head in support. Naruto took a deep breath before performing a sequence of hand signs. Immediately the area surrounding Naruto exploded. When the dust settled, the Saiyan and Godame stood in shock as the Uzumaki was covered in red lightning chakra armor. The only way I could be Titebeo.
So this was it for today. I will continue this series in next part. Till then, we weeb offline.